All right, welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome. We are here at the 2023 Night of Victory. I'm Mallory Woods with my host, Vitor Rodriguez.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Hi. Hello. Hello. How's everybody doing? Welcome to the U.S. Open 2023.
Yes. Beautiful Orlando, Florida at Disney's Coronado Springs Resort. If you guys have never been here for this competition, it definitely should be on your things to do list.
Yes.
This tournament has been around for over 30 years, and tonight with the Night of Victory, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be showcasing some of the future martial artists that will be coming up. Some who are getting ready for their black belt, most will be underbelts, and most of them under the age of 18. I mean, do you even remember your time?
Well, sadly enough, I didn't compete into the U.S. Open until I was a black belt.
Oh, okay.
So I was one of those schools, one of those extremely traditional schools. But to be in this position is as an underbelt, as what we know as a single A black belt. It is such an honor to be on the U.S. Open stage in front of everybody. What an honor with these kids.
It was something, I will tell you, this was one of the more intimidating tournaments that for me to personally come to, because you've seen it. They were, back in my day, there were videotapes of it and everything.
What are videotapes?
VHS. You might want to Google that. Look on Wikipedia. Up next right now, we've got Team Demo for Underbelt. So during these demo competitions, you have a mix of all belts. Maybe there are some black belts in the competition, but these are all underbelts.
How about the age? Is it that are they all the same age? Or
the ages range here. You know, I don't have anything here down in my digital notes, but this looks like everyone under the age of 18. You can see some of the different black belts. Excuse me, there's one black belt in front. I see a red belt, a few others. But during this demo performance, this is something that actually a new student may get first exposed to tournament competition.
Oh, yeah.
Because especially if you do it in your school, you're learning your specific part. We see one of the students going back, retrieving some weapons. And, you know, you're responsible for you and you alone. You know, to be able to put something together like this is just super impressive because there's so many moving parts.
Now, I would imagine that they have to be in sync. As we see here, there's a lot of people doing different moves. There's a lot of people doing the same move. We have some people resting on the side. So there's like you said, there's a lot of moving parts to this.
And this is one of the things that your local school may put on, like at a county fair or in a mall. This is usually what people's first exposure is to, that maybe my son or daughter can do this. You know, it exudes confidence. They have to practice. You can't just go to class with this. You have to put in the time.
And this division has been blowing up in the recent years.
Yes.
I remember when they first brought it out, it was 2 or 3 schools doing the sync form, but now you see actual teams being built around just this division.
Just this thing, yes.
Just this division.
And that's actually unusual. I would say that usually they're not teams specifically built around a division unless it was for fighting-only teams.
Yes.
But now you're seeing that in the modern era where teams are just specifically around for demonstration, sometimes sync. You know, you can see a lot of different things, little acrobatics going on right here.
And like you said, a lot of these teams were put together just for fundraisers, for, hey, we're going to get together at the mall. We need to get more students for our karate school. And now they're being built, like we just said, they're being built for competition, for huge tournaments like the U.S. Open.
Of course,
that's fantastic to see. That's
you're exactly right.
Yeah.
If you guys were watching on some of the streams that we had up on SMA or sportmartialarts.com, you are watching on our YouTube channel. We, of course, appreciate that. We would love it if you liked and shared the stream. Share it with the relatives. If you have or know someone in competition, give them a look-see. They've been out here in the weather. First of all, the weather out here in Orlando has been absolutely beautiful.
Fantastic.
Not a speck of rain, not any of the smoke that I had coming from Washington, D.C. But it's been great. It's been beautiful out here. And you know, one of the things that you actually get with this competition is you can come here, you can compete, and then you can take some time off and relax and go to the many entertainment venues that you have in Florida.
Yes, sir. I completely agree. Me and my family come out here. I not only have my school and my time here, but we compete on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and with my kids, with my wife. Like you said, we take full advantage of the attractions. We go to Walt Disney World. We take full advantage of it.
The one thing that I would suggest is compete first. You might have a little
so
something
you
to say
are
about
talking.
that.
Yes, we are. I am talking from experience. The very first time me and my wife ever came to the U.S. Open, we did it completely backwards. We went to the attractions first. We spent 3-4 days at Disney World, and then, hey, why don't we just go compete in one of the biggest tournaments in the world? Not a very good turnout. Not a very good. Heavy legs, burnt skin.
Heavy legs.
Yeah. So after that, we took that as an experience, and we've done every single year for the past 15 years. We've come over here. We've done the tournament first, attraction second.
I would completely agree with you. And let's see. Up next, looks like we've got. Let me take a look at this.
Okay, we have a little crowd control. Looks like, oh, what are we doing here?
I think it's choreographed. Our youth choreographed fighting division. Yes.
Oh, wow.
All right.
So we're seeing these with the youth choreograph. I would take it they're not in uniform.
Correct.
So these are martial arts students, and they're trying to put on. Would you say some sort of a skit or
almost
some
a
sort
skit
of
to kind of show the martial arts and everything. And actually, I saw this young lady earlier. You may, if you have a better view of the camera, this actually says "Martial Arts for Dummies," the book that she has in her hand. So to set up the kid's skit, she's just an average girl walking on. And you know what? This may be some of the ones. This may be one of the ones that one of the reasons why you started martial arts.
Yes,
maybe you get
for
picked on
self-defense
or something like that happens. So let's watch the skit. Looks like she bumped into someone accidentally. The bully. Oh, she threw her glasses. She shoved around. Oh, there's almost a single leg takedown. Smack with the book. Another shove down by another bully.
Good
Not
back
too
row.
kosher. He's going to take a little spin off of there. Oh, she gets tripped. She's going to run up. Up kick right there. A little leg
I like
takedown.
that, creating some space.
Yes. Another throw. She ducks under the punch. Another block. Sweep. I like it.
I am
Another
just in
straight.
awe. I am just in awe.
Uh-oh. Looks like she may have got try.
Oh, with the scorpion
kick.
kick. Groin hit to the. Oh.
Using the other person against the other. We got to love it.
Oh,
touchdown.
One more groin shot. Why not? Take off the jacket.
She catches her jacket. I like it. And
she's using
the jacket as a weapon. That's old school.
Very
I like
good.
that.
That is very old school. Look at that.
Dodge
showing
the
the sweeps.
Elbow strike. Duck the whip kick. Oh, leg scissor takedown.
Scissor takedown.
Boom,
Oh, with
kick in
a
the
roundhouse to the face.
I love it. Little Tajimari throw right there. Like it. Ah, front kick to the gut. Oh, no. She takes the shot, goes down. Well, boo. Boo this man. Boo.
This is one long choreographed skit. This is very.
Whenever you do something like this, you really have to trust your partners.
Yes.
Because I've been in a few choreographed skits that have actually included real hits.
Oh.
Because someone just stepped forward just a little too far.
Oh, wow! That looked like a wrestling toss.
Oh, hey, Rey Mysterio
like
Jr.
a Rey
will
Mysterio
be
throw.
proud.
Look at that.
Hurricane Rana, you gotta love
nice. Wow. Wow. Standing ovation from the crowd. That is fantastic. That was beautiful. Wow.
Actually, just to take a page from that skit, what was the reason why you started martial arts? What, did you get picked on? Was that you?
So I started martial arts. I took a different route. My father's my instructor, so you could tell I was born into the martial arts. I took to it when I was 4 years old. I got kicked out when I was 5 for not paying attention, being too much of a hyper kid. I remember my father taking me home, telling my mother he just doesn't pay attention. He's the only one I get after. Took a year off, and my dad tells me all the time, I remember when you came up to me and you asked me, hey, can I go back? Can I go back to karate? So I was about 5.5, 6 years old, and I just fell completely head over heels from it. Like I had mentioned before, I came from a little bit more of a traditional background that we competed only in Texas, only local. And we did our very first national tournament in 1995 in San Antonio, and we've never looked back. We absolutely loved it. I just fell in love with the sport and begged my father to, let's go a little bit further. Let's go to San Antonio. Let's go to Austin. Let's go to Dallas. And then how about we go out of state? How about we do the bigger tournaments? And it took convincing for me, and my father just took to it. Started taking a team, and the rest is history. Now we're here. Now I'm here with my team.
Yeah, now we got another generation.
Yes, another generation. I do have my son competing tonight. To say that I'm a little nervous is a little understatement, but yes. We have the
handy-capable division.
Handy-capable.
Cyrus, I believe his name. Let me make sure I get that. Yes, Cyrus Vick on the stage right now. So one of the great things about the martial arts as well is we do have handy-capable divisions around. Sometimes there are physical limitations that you get with students, but in the martial arts, a very talented instructor helps to we don't see that as something we might say handicapable or disabled or anything else like that. We work with what you have.
And it's a beautiful thing that we do give them a division
yes.
to participate in. And they're more than welcome to participate in the handicapable division and in the regular division too.
Exactly.
And these kids are amazing. If this doesn't encourage you,
or
if this doesn't inspire you,
where is your heart if this doesn't?
This is beautiful. And he is a brown belt. Mr. Vic is a brown belt. He's fantastic. Beautiful stanzas. Great control. Great job. Great job, Mr. Vic.
Imagine the confidence that you gain from this, not only as, just a regular competitor, but, bringing the confidence that you have up to to learn an art form like this and work at it perfecting. I mean, there's no lie for anything, the 10,000 hour theory, that if you learn a new skill, you have to put in about 10,000 hours to master it. And martial arts are definitely the same. You have to practice at it, and it shows true discipline to show the work that has been entailed.
You talk about building that confidence.
Exactly.
There is over 200, 300 people here to get on stage, to be under the lights. That in itself is extremely daunting, but to have that confidence, to go out there, show your skills, do your best, kick some butt in the process.
Exactly.
Fantastic.
We
These
have
guys
Miss
are great.
Sophia Johnson up here with some commas. Let's see if we get a little background on her purple belt. Where is she from? Right here in Florida.
She's 10 years old.
10 years old from Bobby Dixon's American Martial Arts Academy.
Doing a great job. Now, the weapons that she has, they are called commas. I myself never was raised with any weapons. It was just traditional forms and sparring. So to see these kids wield a weapon where I myself could not, I still can't grab them. I still can't touch them. That's pretty amazing.
I mean, just like you said, and also to touch back, and I'll give you my martial arts story where my martial arts journey began. My father always said a weapon is just an extension of your hand.
Yes,
So whatever you have in your hand, it's just an extension of that. And let's see, we're going to get some scores for these two competitors coming on up. I love this scoring system, this great system by Mad Action.
Great scores. Scores for Sophia.
Let's see what Sophia's scores are.
Beautiful.
So it was a great job by both competitors. And while the silky voice, Mr. Joe Perry, hands out those awards.
The great Joe
Joe Perry, in-house MC tonight. It's interesting because from relating back to your story, my dad was a junior black belt in the Washington, D.C. area. I think he was actually at one of the original schools the Grandmaster reopened up on M Street. So he was a martial artist. My dad learned a little judo over in Taiwan in the service.
Oh, wow.
And came back and started studying Taekwondo. And, of course, he wanted his son to train along with him.
So he was your instructor? He was your first instructor?
He was not, because I said, I'm not interested, Dad. I mean,
heartbreaking.
I know he must have broken his heart and everything.
So
However,
how old were you when you started?
19.
No,
I was
Mallory.
a junior in college
Wow.
at Bowie State University when I actually had a little bit of time. And I said, you know what, I'm going to go ahead and check out martial arts and everything. So I had no junior experience. I had none whatsoever. Welcome to the stage right now. We've got our 9 and under beginner weapons. Look at this right now on stage. We've got very young Emma holding a bow staff that I would say is probably maybe 2
maybe
feet
a little
tall.
bit big. A pink bow staff, a little bit bigger than she is. Look at that forward stance. Good control.
Look at the control of the weapon.
Wow.
One of the things that I would always love when we would have parents come in, when I was teaching at Charlie Karate, they would come in and they would sign their kids up, and 2 weeks later they would say, "What have you done to my child?" He says, "Yes, sir, no, sir." Now he pays attention. He's polite. He's nice to his brothers and sisters. We've noticed a complete change in attitude, and this is the experience you get in martial arts.
Yes.
Martial arts benefits and changes children for the better.
It shows you, it does show you discipline. It shows you how to. It teaches you confidence.
Yes.
But these kids, they fall in love with it. They fall in love with the art. They fall in love with the drilling and the kicking and the punching. Something a lot of parents are somewhat. New parents will come into our karate school and be like, I just don't want them to learn how to fight and then they're going to pinch them.
Exactly.
But what they don't understand is that we teach them discipline first.
Discipline first, when not to use your tool
when
set.
not to use it, how not to use it. Yes, of course. I always say that my biggest sell is we teach these kids a lot more than punching and kicking. Punching and kicking is close to being the last thing. Yes, and it's the same thing. These parents come in and say, "What have you done?" They're very polite. They're taking out the trash when I tell them the first time. They're like, "Yeah, you." It's weird. It's funny how that works. You get a good karate instructor, they just change their life.
You're exactly correct. Looks like we've got Kian Patel. He is from Georgia, from Cummins Martial Arts.
7 years old. 7 years old. Advanced gold belt, looks like it.
I do believe you're correct there. Yes, sir. Another bow.
It looks like he's going to be doing a traditional form.
By that stance, I would say you're right.
Yes. Now, there's not going to be any tosses. There won't be any flips. It's going to be a little bit, quote-unquote, harder style of form.
One of the things, and if you've never heard that term before, there's always, let me see, at least to my knowledge, you probably can find it on Amazon, there was an encyclopedia of the martial arts. It was a great book that actually my dad gave to me to look at before I actually ever studied, and it gives you the history of martial arts you may not have heard of. Harangdo, what styles, what are the difference between the Japanese and Korean style, so on and so forth. And it's beautiful in the sense that as you begin to study these martial arts from all over the world, you can see the differences, knowing the difference between a hard style and a soft style, knowing why it developed that way, seeing and understand the history of that. Because, just being a Taekwondo stylist myself, there's things that I will never know about Wushu, that I'll never know about Goju, that I'll know about all these other different styles. But there is a history and detail to each and every one of them.
And knowing the history of these styles makes you really appreciate a good form, a good martial artist, a good fighter.
Exactly.
It lets you really appreciate the different types of tournaments, the different types of rule sets. So, yes.
Our third and final competitor for this division, Sebastian Antonon. He's coming up. And we have another bow. I know that some schools, this is the first weapon. If they have a weapons program, this is the first weapon they teach their students.
So we're seeing all these kids, these 3 kids, as gold belts, orange belts, white belts, and that is considered in tournaments, it is considered our beginner forms, our beginner belt ranks. And
if you're watching for the first time, as impressive this is, don't be intimidated. Because, you can come out here and if I was in an instructor position again, I would encourage all of my students to compete.
Everybody.
Test yourself against your peers and people that you don't know. If you have a desire to be competitive, like I did, then you're going to go out there and you're going to want to be the best. And this young man is putting on a fantastic form right here.
Fantastic. Now, what I can say to all these future students that are watching, there are so many different types of divisions that you can participate in. It's not all going to be bow. It's not all going to be weapons. You could do what your style, what your instructor is teaching. You could do traditional, you could do musical, you could do creative, you could do extreme, you could do weapons, you could spar. You could choose to just spar.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, this is just
that is the beauty. It's the beauty part of going to an open tournament. You have an array of divisions, an array of options to pick through.
And this is just the night of victory. We have the night of champions tomorrow night, which will have our black belt competitors, and it will feature things that we won't have here tonight, such as breaking.
Yes, that's right.
I've broken boards, but these guys are going through concrete. The creative breaking divisions. They're punching holes in cans and glass and ice and everything.
They're using their hands,
their feet, sometimes their head, their elbows, their knees.
I would have thought they're using a sledgehammer or something.
Listen, breaking boards was enough for me. I've done a little bit of breaking, but you got to be a special type of human being to want to punch some concrete, You
got to be a special person to say, you know what, 3 concrete bricks aren't enough. Let's put another one.
You're exactly right. It's just like, you know what, I think I'm a pass on that.
Yes. And taking it is Mr. Sebastian.
I do believe that you are correct. I have to refresh my browser. Sorry about that. We're going to get the latest information in here. Oh, that looks like we've got Kian Patel is the winner.
Kian.
Please give it up for your winner,
Kian Patel. The traditional takes
beats
it.
the modern.
Wow. So with that, Mallory, what do you think the judges were looking at compared to Sebastian and Mr. Pantel? Why do you think Mr. Pantel won that?
So in this era of tradition versus modern, so tradition has been around forever. Let's, not an exaggeration, but the moves are the same. You want a deep stance. You want to show you have absolute control of the weapon. Now in the modern, you're doing a little bit more tricks. You're doing a little bit more flips, flipping the bow around, showing your control of the weapon. And depending on who you have on the judges panel, they may like those deep set stances, the focus. We're about 20, 25 feet away from the stage. So whenever I'm judging, I'm looking at the competitor's eyes. Are they looking where they're striking? Do they have a solid grip on the weapon? Were there any bobbles or anything? Because you should make me see who you are fighting in this form. So that's why I think that.
So the judges are looking at everything from the stances, from the grip of the weapons, to the eyesight, to the control of every strike. So they're looking at everything.
Looks like we've got up next 9 and under intermediate weapons.
So with the intermediate division, we're going to see different colored belts?
Yes. You're going to see, usually, depending on your school, your mileage may vary, but it's usually green, purple, or blue. Okay. That's about the average in terms of colored belts in terms of intermediate. If going on experience in terms of actual time in the school, it could be different.
Now, with the intermediate forms, are we going to see a higher degree, somewhat harder forms?
I would think with your intermediate belt levels, just imagining being back at that belt level, you're really getting confidence now. You kind of know what you're doing. You might actually be filling in to someone as a junior instructor, maybe warming up the class or helping some of the underbelts, or even kids. And usually, there are a lot of kids in martial arts school that, they grow up, and as you mentioned, starting yourself at 4. So they're going to be like that second level to the instructor to help out, correcting a side kick or a round kick.
Getting little responsibility.
Yes.
Little bits of responsibility
and you start to
around
see that leadership
the dojo.
Grow in school,
yes.
When these kids are at this belt level.
And it helps the student, the assistant instructor, say a purple belt, it helps them so much more with not just with their confidence, but it helps them to know how to explain something. So it helps them with their eyesight, make sure that they're focused on helping the little kids out. It builds their confidence. They walk into the dojo with a little bit more swag. Yeah. To give these kids, and I say kids, but to give these kids a little bit of responsibility, it goes an extremely long way to make them know that their words have a little weight.
You're exactly right. Up next, we've got Luyan Castro.
So I had the privilege of seeing Luyan compete today, and this kid is amazing. I'm saying it right now. He is one of the future stars of the U.S. Open NASKA circuit.
You heard it here first.
He comes with so much energy. He comes from Mexico, from Baja California.
All the way from the West Coast.
This kid is good.
Look at this. Look at the poise already.
Oh, yeah.
He's owning the stage already. The music starts. He turns. He's going to make a nice hard right turn. Face down the judges.
He's got the crowd clapping. This is
he has the crowd.
This is what
look
you
at the judges
want.
Up the front seat.
This is what you want.
6 years old.
6 years old. Come on.
Everybody at home, and you have a 6-year-old in your house, you may not want to compare right now.
Look at this boy's control. Power, speed. Look at that forward stance.
Nice little strike and a spin.
Oh, behind the neck roll. Between the legs.
And the thing is, he's doing this at 6. He's learning tricks that adults have mastered. I can see Joe Perry with his phone out right now, so I'm going to go check his Instagram in a second because he's streaming this himself.
Talk about feeling it. Talk about being in the zone. It's a magical moment. I know you've had moments on stage. I've had moments on stage where you feel damn near invincible.
When you're owning that moment, time slows down.
You are just eating it up. Oh, I absolutely love that feeling. You cannot compare it. You cannot buy it anywhere. To be on stage under the lights, it's fantastic.
The only thing that's better than that, look at that catch, is that knowing what that experience is like and then seeing one of your kids get in that themselves. My daughter plays soccer, and I've seen her get in that zone where she's like, she's a goalie, so she's like, you're not getting it past me. And I see that she's developed that for her sport, and it's just like, man, I absolutely love it.
Oh, it's beautiful. And then to see your kid feeling that, oh, man, it's amazing. Amazing. So we just had Mr. Luyan finish his, I want to say that was an extreme form because he went upside down.
Yes.
So now you have Mr. Rocco coming in, and he's going to be doing more so. You could tell just by the uniform. He has a heavyweight uniform on. It's a white heavyweight uniform on. The bow is not flashy. It's just a regular brown colored. It should be a heavyweight, per se, bow. The difference between his bow and Mr. Luyan's bow is called a toothpick bow. It's a little bit
more
lighter.
Of a competitor bow.
It's a little lighter. It's a little more flashier. So Mr. Rocco is going to be doing more of a traditional form.
Also, if you notice the way he bowed in, he bows in completely, on his knees to the judges, very traditional in terms. Walks back, centers himself for a second.
Deep breath, and let's go, baby. Let's go.
And also in terms of difficulty, comparing the weapons themselves, just as you mentioned, if he's using a traditional, it's going to be heavier.
It's going to be heavy.
It's going to be harder to manipulate. This will really, you're talking about having shoulders? You're going to have some shoulder strength after working out with this a little bit.
Now, I did say it's a heavyweight uniform, and you would think, some people may think, oh, it has some sort of padding. No, it has no padding. No. That bow is heavy. My son does bow, and just doing simple strike, up, down movements hurts your ribs, hurts your shoulder. I have no idea how my son does this on a regular basis, 2 hours a day. So, I mean, these kids are not just learning an art, but my goodness, they are putting their body through some work.
Exactly.
I could use another word, but some
of the other peers maybe they may be wrestling, maybe they're doing football and basketball and everything, but they're disciplining themselves to a different level in terms of conditioning for your body.
Talk about discipline. That was an extremely clean form. The judges have their work cut out for them. So they don't have to just judge the past two competitors, but I believe there was 4 competitors in here, 3 or 4 competitors.
Looks like we had 3. They may have one may have dropped out. It started with 4, but I only see 3 here. So we're getting everybody back on stage. So now becomes the eternal battle between
traditional and new age.
And new age, exactly.
So
let's not forget about our first competitor. She was solid,
She was solid, too. So the previous division, we had the traditionalist win. Let's see if
the judges are also going to stay.
Let's kind of see if we're going to
get that direction.
Yes, keep that streak or change it up.
All right, Emily's scores are coming up now. 9-7, 9-7, 9-7, 9-7. All straight 9-7s across the board.
Traditionally, that means that she did get third. This is what we're going to see. Are we going to see all 9s, or are we going to see a mix of 9s and 8s?
I think we're going to get a mix.
8, 9, 8, and 8.
Oh,
so we've got
1
2
9.
9s. Oh, no, I'm sorry, that's 1 9.
Yes, 1 9. So the judges stuck to it. They stuck with their streak, and it seems like the traditionalist is going to take it. Look at that.
You know what? This will be interesting because now I know these kids, like you're going to come in, you're going to have your routine, planned out and everything. It would almost be to the point that if you could do both and you could change.
Wow, yes.
If you were seeing, hey, they're going traditional and you had a traditional bow form or a traditional form ready, you could shift and just say, hey, I'm going to switch it on up.
And I would not be surprised if a lot of these kids that we see tonight, and even the kids on stage, do have the dual talent to do traditional, extreme, creative with that bow.
You're absolutely right. Hey, the president of Century, Mr. Mikey Dillard, on stage. We have this beautiful banner. I can't tell when the camera on us is on, but we've got the Century logo right behind us. Great company, making all sorts of martial arts weapons. If you need gear, you definitely want to head over to Century.com and see what they have for you. I used to think it was really cool when we were in high school. We would go down to Chinatown in Washington D.C. and we would buy weapons directly in Chinatown, tumfas, nunchucks, throwing stars and everything, and we just go back and
throwing stars.
Listen, we had a different childhood, man.
Extremely
You're talking
different.
Guys that used to shoot Roman candles at each other and think it was fun.
Oh my goodness!
But that's a whole nother different. That's a whole nother 2-hour podcast.
Yes.
On things not to do. So, looks like we've got 900 advanced weapons coming up.
Oh my goodness!
We've got
so we have.
competitors.
We're just picking up the ante.
Yep.
So we have advanced. So these kids are going to be brown and red belts. Technically, they should be 1 belt away.
Correct.
Maybe 2 belts if they have an advanced brown belt or an advanced red belt. 1 belt away from being black. So these are the kids that you should be seeing next year or maybe in a couple of years on the Saturday night finals.
Yes. And so it's a whole other breakthrough because you're coming from an underbelt status, meaning you're not black belt, and you're going into the black belt status. Now, the one thing that kids have that's different is that they're aging up. So as an adult, when you achieve black belt status and you go up and competing against people, they have already been in that age group for a while, unless they age out, which is 10 years instead of maybe the 2 or 3 years that you have separating the kids division. So
what you want to say is start them young.
Start them young. And the thing is, I can remember being at the red/brown belt stage. I wanted to prove with every time I was sparring that I deserved to be black belt. And unfortunately, I had to take that out of my opponent sometimes. I had to show that I deserved to be black belt.
Fortunately.
Shake hands after that. Say, hey, it's all good. I know
All
you're trying to
with
do the same for me. Always
Yes.
with respect and everything, but I'm sorry. It's either me or you, and I chose me.
Yes, all the time. So we have Mr. James Potter here. I've been lucky enough to see James compete from when he was a lower color belt. I got orange belt, green belt, purple belt, and this boy is just amazing.
He also has quite the stage presence and also loves the hair to match in the belt.
Oh, yeah. He has extremely supportive parents in the sense of his parents own the karate school. So you talk about being raised in the karate school, being at the karate school for 6 hours a day, just working on your craft.
From the state of Alabama, I got a chance to visit Alabama for the first time in my life this year. A little work event out there. Great state, beautiful, absolutely beautiful. And it ends with a full split.
You can still do that, right, Melanie?
You know what? It in parts. Like I'll just use the left leg, and then I'll do the right leg.
In parts.
Not
complete.
Probably not. Yeah. Probably not. I would not bet on that.
In parts and in days. I'll do something on Monday, something on Tuesday.
Hey, you just break it up. Break the
equals
work
out
up.
to a split.
James Potter. He's 9. He's got an Instagram already, man. These kids.
Come on. Come on. Of course he does. 2023.
Yeah. All right. River Rose, our second competitor in this division.
I believe she's a brown belt.
I think that is brown from here, correct. It looks like she's going to be working the bow as well. A little bit more of a traditional, a little bit of spinning going on there. Maybe a mix here.
I would say maybe a creative.
Creative. I was just here to say creative.
Now, there is a rule in extreme. You could do flips. Your head could go below your hips in the sense of a cartwheel or a backhand spring or an aerial. On a creative form, you cannot do that. Correct. Your head has to stay above your hips. We ride that line a little bit with the butterfly kicks,
right? Because your
with
head's
the
not
extensions.
Quite going
yes,
over.
But yes,
and we love the great sportsmanship between these two
Love
kids.
that.
Scoring for James first and score.
And they're scoring for Mr. James Potter right now. It looks like he gets all 9s.
He gets straight 9-9s.
Which would probably mean Miss River Rose is probably going to get 9-8s. But just looking up here as these two competitors get scored before they start to hand out the awards, what I find is actually really interesting is looking at some of the competitors that are adults now And I'm going to use Haley Glass as an example. Her mom just posted some pictures of like her as she was growing up, right? And not only do you see a young Haley Glass, who will definitely be in the nighttime show tomorrow, but you see a lot of other competitors that you know and are in the division now, and you're like, man, they were kids at one point, you know?
One
and
point,
they grew up and became these great competitors that we see now.
At one point, like you said, there were color belts, there were yellow belts, there were green belts, and they were here on stage doing the same thing. And you talk about discipline, just day in and day out, going to the dojo, working on their craft. And as we can see tomorrow, these kids are, I call them kids. I know they're 20, 21,
correct.
But these young adults are just the cream of the crop. Amazing. So we're going to have the 10 through 13 beginner weapons.
You know, it's just as you mentioned, for some reason, and maybe it's my age showing, but a lot of people or a lot of kids don't want to work at something. They want to be instantly good at something right away. And the idea of, working on your craft to find something that you're not good at and continually work until you become better at it is kind of a little bit of a lost art. I can remember teaching, and one of the kids there had really great high kicks, and he just seemed to just be able to throw his legs up, no problem.
Yeah.
And some of the other students were like, well, I can't do that. I said, yeah, I know, it's gonna be a little bit tougher path for you. You're going to have to train a whole lot more. You're going to have to do double the work on your left side than your right side. But I will tell you this, you're going to be better.
Yes.
Because you're going to put the time in, and you're going to appreciate the time in that you put in spent.
And they can do it. It's not like it's an unattainable objective, unattainable talent. They can do it. They have to, like you said, they have to put a little bit more work in, but they can do it. And how many of the top black belts can you think of are those type of kids? The kids that weren't the best, they weren't the greatest, but they worked so hard for it, and now they're at the top of the heap. I mean, I would say that it's 95, 96% of the black belts that we're going to have competing tomorrow. They were in that position. They had to work for it. And I would even say the ones that are extremely talented work as hard too. It's the discipline that the martial arts instills in you. You have a great martial art instructor, can do absolute wonders, Mallory. They could do absolute wonders to a young 6-year-old, 7-year-old that's just starting.
And also, a shout-out definitely has to go to the parents, because all of a sudden, if your child says, hey, you know what, I know there's a dance at school on Friday, but I want to go train. I want to go put 2 hours in. I want to work on this form. I want to work on mastering this weapon. I want to get ready for this belt test. I want to go do extra rounds with my instructor. And coming up, Luke Little is now our next opponent coming up on stage.
To have a parent that is extremely helpful in that sense, to say, yeah, let's do the extra work. Yeah, let's push you a little bit longer. Hey, there's an extra class on Saturday. Let's do that. That means the world. That really separates a lot of kids.
And this league is really run and supported by all the parents that are here. We can see them off to our stage. I did an interview with the Molinas earlier. How Dad's on the job. He's got his wagon. He's got food, snacks. He's got the uniforms ready. You know, the kids go, they can perform, and Mom's there helping out and everything.
And we're seeing more and more parents like that, which is a beautiful thing, because yes, the instructor knows what type of form they're doing, what type of weapon they're doing, everything in and out. But you go to the parents, and some of the parents that are not even in karate will know the exact same thing. I know my wife, who is a black belt, hasn't practiced in a good while, but knows my kid's form in and out, everything, what he's doing, what he's supposed to do. She's never carried a bow in her life, and she knows the in and out of this form, of my son's forms. And you're seeing more and more parents like that are not in karate, but they know exactly what the kids are doing. They know exactly where the Kia should go. It's a beautiful thing. We're seeing more and more parents that are going to be that are involved. And like you said, this organization, NASCAR organization, is ran by amazing parents.
Scorekeeping, judging, helping out. The great thing about that is, depending on your child's age, let's say, for example, they're about 7 or 8. So the peers they're competing against, you get to know the parents and everything. They're parents that will, hey, your kid, maybe they got injured. Boom, they go get ice.
Yes.
They're comforting them. Maybe they're a little bit hungry, but they've got snacks for them. It's competitive, but it's really a big extended family. And we got some mixed scores coming up in here. Those were both excellent forms as we were, we were retelling some, some tips and everything, but there was been some great kata right there on stage for these competitors. It's going to come down to the wire here.
Looks like Elizabeth is going to take it.
Yes.
Look at that.
And just saying a little bit more about that, just to mention the Molinas, their dad is in service. He's actually stationed down here in Florida, and they're from Texas. So, they're not only super helpful as a military family, but just to see them come together as a unit and, they're talking about all the other kids that their kids compete against.
Yes.
I'm pretty sure they can name every single one of them.
Yes.
There
It becomes a small family
Exactly.
of competitors. You compete. You compete and your age, and you compete as your rank. So if you do the national circuit or the statewide circuit, you tend to compete with the same people over and over again, maybe once a month, maybe once every 2 months. So you become a close-knit family. And I know the Molinas personally, and they are a family that if they have a bag of chips, if they have some sandwiches, they're giving it to all the competitors.
Everybody. Yes.
And it becomes that family-oriented, that family type of love around everybody. Yeah, you're competing against each other, but hey, you want the best out there. You want to take care of the people that you're competing against.
We've got 10 to 13 immediate weapons. We've got Amelia Perez, who is our first competitor up on stage. Looks like blue belt from here. She is also from right here, Orlando, Florida, at the famous Florida Sport Martial Arts Academy.
So I'm sure she didn't have a long drive.
Not necessarily the long commute like you had.
Oh, man.
But just to review that there is competition, but there's camaraderie as well.
Yes.
And the thing is also with this is that these young people all of a sudden, hey, let's train together. And also with technology, I've seen kids, they'll do a sync form. Like, wait a minute, you live in this part of the country and you live in this part of the country. How did you all sync up? Well, I'll record myself and then we'll exchange the files over Zoom and then I'll watch that. And then all of a sudden, not even having been together, they come here and they put together this team sync form or something like that.
It is nothing like the days when we would compete. Nothing like the days.
I mean, one of the great things, like you said, mentioning when we're competing, you compete against somebody, and they would always say, hey, if you're ever in town, come by, we'll do some rounds.
Yes.
And that was the sign of respect that you got, that you just punched somebody in the face, kicked him and everything, and they say, hey, come train with me. I want to learn from you.
I would love to fight you on a regular basis. Come over here. Come sleep on my couch. Come train with us. Have a week here. Yes, it's beautiful. I mean, going back to what you said about the Zoom, my son, Bear, is going to be doing he's going to be doing extreme tonight. We live in Laredo. His instructor lives in Houston, which is about 6-7 hours away. He trains with the Brumet brothers, with Sam and Philip Brumet.
Yes.
And he does that through Zoom. Like I said, he does it once or at least twice a week. And now he's on stage. He's on stage tonight doing his extreme form. And it's just mind-boggling that he and my wife really are taking full advantage of the technology that we have today, and he is learning a completely different type of talent that, honestly, I could not teach him.
Yeah.
And I mean, at this point, at 7 years old, he is a better martial artist with the bow than I can ever be.
Mr. Zach Weiser on stage right now, and also you have that internal confidence that I've seen before, where instructors don't want to let their students learn from anyone else. And I remember getting an email that was written by one of my parents. She said, I've been sitting on this email for 4 days to send it to you. I would like to know if you have a problem if my child goes and trains at this school. I said, no, because I've taught him everything I can.
Yes.
And my knowledge is limited just to me. So please, I would stunt his growth if I said, no, I think he needs to remain in the school. There's something about loyalty, whatever excuse I would give. But I don't want to stunt anyone's growth. I would love for him to go and learn something more from there. As you mentioned, like, for example, with the bow. There's only so much I could teach you. If somebody came to me for bow lessons, I could show you how to hold it.
Yes.
And maybe properly.
Yes.
But if I say, you know what, I'm not the best at this craft, so let me send you to someone who will sharpen your tools in your toolbox.
Being humble with that. Yes. My father, who is my main instructor, always had an open door policy, in the sense of, if anybody ever wants to come over here from a different school to train with us, amazing. If you guys, which is myself, his students, ever want to go somewhere else and learn from somebody who's a better instructor, in the sense of sparring, strength and conditioning, weapons, forms, do it. With one rule: whatever you learn, come back over here
and teach us that. It's brilliant.
Teach us that. Yes.
You amass such more knowledge in terms of that.
So much more. I mean,
So-
you know, Mallory, if you learn something, you can get good at it so far. But as soon as you start teaching that, maybe you learn a little bit more about that said craft of the weapons or of the sparring. I've been in many lessons where I teach something and I'll find a different way of going over a back punch or a D side and be like, wow, I just learned something by teaching it.
You know, it was, and shout out to Zach Weiser, who just won that division. It was my dad, so shout out to my dad. We share the same name, so I know he's going to be out there watching on his Chromebook. And my father would always tell me that you learn so much more from teaching. And it's something that I did not understand until I did start teaching, because you get a question from a student, so why do you do it like this? I'm like, oh, well, hey, you do it like this because of these reasons.
And you can't answer because you do.
Because you do.
No.
You can't do as I say, you know.
Yeah.
But it's that level of knowledge that you get from teaching. And as you mentioned, you know, in addition to teaching, I'm going off and doing my own training, and I'm learning and upgrading my skills from, you know, someone else, or depends if I get a chance to go to New York, or if I get a chance to, drive down south and train with people. Like, I was well beyond my tournament years when I was so happy going out to the Battle of Atlanta and getting trained with Tony Young.
Oh, wow.
Who I used to compete against and be on the same team at the same time. And I could not
That's
believe
quite a trek.
I'm like, look, I'm already down here for this tournament. I cannot wait just to come to your school, just to train one evening with you.
So you were looking at the training a little bit more exciting than the tournament itself.
Exactly.
That's fantastic.
Because
would you do that? Would you do that regularly when you would go to big tournaments?
When I would go to big tournaments, I would try to come in a day early, especially here at the U.S. Open. Abib Wali would open up his doors to us. And
a lot of great schools here in Florida.
He would say, and the thing I love about it is that in Florida, the idea is like, hey, let's all come train together.
Yes.
So
yes.
They have, and I see his post on Facebook like, hey, tonight we're all together. We're going to be at such and such school, starts at this time, be there. And I got a chance to train with some of the Bailey Murphys and, all these guys. I'm becoming great competitors because my days of competing against them are pretty much over, but I still want to get in there and take
you still
a look
want to
and
mix
see.
it in with them.
And I want to see it for myself. I want to see it in front of me, you know?
We have Mr. Nathan going around.
A little bit of bow flip. Behind the back. Oh, unfortunately hit his shoulder, but he's still going on.
See, so Mr. Nathan dropped his bow, but he's not bowing out. He's not giving up. He's still going on. I would think, I've never did weapon, I would think that the pressure's somewhat off him, so it's time to just go big. Go big. I'm not gonna put my feet together and bow out. I'm gonna go at it. I got no pressure on me. I'm pumping out the big tricks, and he ends it in a big way.
You know what? I think you're right at that point. You know what? It's like, hey, I might as well just go for it now.
Might as well. There's no pressure on me.
And of course, he's a Team Revolution product. Over to the side of the stage, to the right of your screen, if you're looking straight on, depending on which camera is activated, Team Revolution is sitting in those first two rows, and they're supporting him with every single thing they've got.
They have those light neutral colors of neon green and black and white.
You'll never see them coming.
You'll never see them coming.
All right, we got Nathan Tran coming to the stage right now. Let's see.
So you would say that Nathan Tran has a little bit of pressure on him in the sense of the previous competitor dropped his bow. So all Nathan has to do is put on a great show, don't drop your weapon, and you pretty much have it in the bag.
But with that, as you said, sometimes having a competitor make a mistake before you creates pressure on you, because if I said, okay, Vito, don't think about the red car. Okay, you're immediately thinking about a red car.
Where's the red car?
What is this car and everything? But you see a competitor, maybe they make a mistake, they drop their weapon, and I have seen where dropping of a weapon seems to be contagious.
Yes. Oh, yes. Yes. But I'm talking. You're talking about 5, 6, 7 competitors in a row dropping,
and then you're 8, and you're like, oh boy.
I believe that happened at the U.S. Open.
You're right.
Black belts.
You're exactly right. This is exactly what I was thinking about on stage.
A few years ago, yes, a few years ago on stage during the day eliminations, you had the world's best formsman with the weapon, talking all the top teams one person dropped, and I believe it had like 7 or 8 people
of the
drop
top guys that just
in a row,
eliminated themselves. Yes.
So if you think of if you are superstitious about the whole dropping is contagious, yeah,
I think I remember asking one of the competitors. As you saw the first person to not drop after all those 1, 2, 3, 4 that dropped, I said, "Did you change your routine?" Yes, I did. I took a different trick out because I didn't need the risk and the high, the high risk, high reward because everyone else had pretty much eliminated themselves.
That's experience. Would you say?
That is experience. And with that being said, Nathan has put on a great performance right there. No drop of the word, very intense with the sword there. And as you notice, he's breathing a little heavy out there because that's an intense form. All right, we've got both competitors back on stage.
All right, voting is great advanced competitors. Judges are scoring Nathan first, and score please. 8, 8, 8.
And scores for Nathan are coming in. We've got all 8s on the screen, which would probably mean that Nathan is going to get all 9s. Let's see how the judges saw it. 9.99 all the way across. That's going to make you a winner. Nathan Tran for the 10 to 13-year-old advanced weapons for the 2023 U.S. Open. Of course, as this is, and look at Team Revolution, giving their competitor all high fives. You got to love that.
Once again, I appreciate all the energy from all of you guys. Great job for these competitors. Keep them pumped up. All right, next up is our 11 and under Class A Black Belt Weapons Championship.
And while we have all the competitors getting ready to come on stage, I'm going to check into these YouTube comments, take a look and see if there's anything that's going on. I'm going to try to mute myself from the stream. We're going to try to remain interactive, see if there are any questions to answer. And up next to the stage, we've got our 11 and under Class A Black Belt Weapons. We've got 3 competitors in the division. So we will remain interactive during this broadcast. And if you have anything that you have a question, I'll be taking a look at the chat on
we got some
YouTube.
questions.
We got some comments, no questions yet. A little bit. Everybody's cheering in on their, their competitors and everything.
Beautiful.
So we'll just make sure, if anything comes up, we'll of course, bring it on up. Intelligent questions only, of course. We want to all learn here.
Keeping this form going.
Yes, indeed, and a single A black belt competitor. So we're keeping that up for sometimes as you're getting used to competition, and especially you may have already surpassed the ranks and become a black belt and never competed before. It can be a little bit intimidating,
daunting. Yes,
it depends on how you take competition.
Yes,
one thing that I absolutely love is that feel of nervousness, that feel of butterflies right before I step to the line. I've got my gear on. I'm biting down on my mouthpiece.
Which never goes away.
It never goes away.
Never goes away.
In fact, I will say this. It went away one time, and it made me worried. I felt too calm, and I was like, wait a minute, this is not familiar. I don't like this. But I thrive off of that feeling, that little moment of anticipation. And it's something that these competitors are experiencing perhaps for the first time. As they walk on the stage, it's a room full of people. They don't know everyone in here. You've got bright lights, got this giant banner, all these great sponsors behind them for U.S. Open, and it can be nerve-wracking. Some people either rise to the pressure, or maybe they start, this is a skill I have to develop.
But when they rise, when they finish it, say it's a good form. They didn't feel like they did so good. If they were sparring, they lost, or if they won, it is something they could take to the next event, tell themselves, I've been here before. I belong on this stage.
Just to,
I'm going to do better.
Just say, I can hang with these
Yes.
guys. I can do this. I can do better.
It wasn't as bad as I thought.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, and speaking of, look at this nunchuck for that we're starting off right here. Great reverse
I had a
hook kick.
privilege of seeing Andrea,
I think that is
Miss Rocco,
yes.
compete today. She was amazing. High kick, beautiful chamber extension, re-chamber.
One of the
Nunchakos, not seen all that often anymore. It reminds me of a great the great Paul Mitchell Sammy.
Oh, Sammy Smith, that's right. One of
Sammy
these
Smith.
nice posters that we've seen out in the hallway.
Yeah.
And I know Sammy is watching. And speaking of, just a quick, and I usually bring this up, I did bring it up in the last broadcast of the Battle of Atlanta, is that Sammy Smith was brought on stage by Charlie Lee at age 7. I think she was a green belt because he was so impressed with what he saw later. And that was a perfect example of a future competitor, a future world champion, a future athlete that was, you saw in literally her infancy in her career. And, to see how she grew into that competitor, that champion. And that's what we're looking at tonight.
Yes. These kids, we're gonna be repeating their names come next year, 2 years, 5 years. These guys are the future. And they're only getting better and better, Mallory. Better and better. These kids are hitting adult tricks that that adults were hitting 3 years ago.
Yes.
And now they're doing it on a whim. They're doing it so easily.
They're practicing this in their home dojo, probably just like joking around with it. Like,
Yes.
hey, I was able to do this today. And that's the fun in it, that it takes, this is all serious business, of course, when you get to the stage. But when you're having fun with it in your dojo, like, hey, what? Maybe the first person said, hey, I could throw a 720. And you're like,
no, you can't.
No way. And you go out there and you find out that you could do it. Like, maybe I can incorporate this into a form. Or maybe I'll have there'll be a special tricking section in terms of competition.
And what you're doing is you're just raising the bar for yourself, but you're raising the bar for people in your dojo.
Yes.
And once you raise the bar in your dojo, like you say, you hit it in the form of the tournament, you raise the bar for everybody else because everybody sees, oh, wow, a 7-year-old, an 8-year-old could hit that trick. I'm 7, I'm 8, I'm 9.
Could do this.
I could do this too. And that, congratulations, you just raised the bar for martial arts in general.
The knowledge is collective.
Oh,
and you see it almost as not only a team or dojo effort, but you bring that knowledge back, you bring those skills back, and you share them. One thing that I think it was Johnny Tension said, that he says, nobody got here alone. He says you get help from someone. Someone tells you, hey, straighten your elbow, do this, that, and the other, turn your toes down, so on and so forth. You get that knowledge, and then I would have people that would ask to train with me, and they would say, what can I do for what do you want to charge me money? I said, no. I said, it's your duty to, once you get good at this, to share this knowledge with someone else and keep pushing it forward.
Pave it forward, yes, sir.
I mean, because if we all were selfish in terms of what we learn, and maybe we go back to the secret technique of what you would see in Kung Fu movies and everything. But, as all sharing it together, we all can grow together.
The true martial arts way.
Exactly.
So we had Mr. Bryant Culpepper. He's doing a fantastic form. In the very beginning, on the bow, he lost his balance. When sometimes a simple act of just putting your feet together or putting one knee on the floor, it's a little sad, but you could lose your balance and you have to work your way out of a hole.
Yes.
You got to work your way out of a hole.
I mean, nerves show up in all forms. Speaking of other competitors, Ariel Torres, Olympic champion Ariel Torres. I asked him one time, I was just curious. I was like, how much are you training a day? He said 6 hours. I said, hold on, you're working kata for 6 hours? He says, yes. And that shows the extreme discipline and attention that one folds to. So every time he walks to the line, his bow, he wants it to be perfect. He hasn't thrown a punch or kick yet. He wants every single, from the moment that his toes first touch that mat, the tatami, he wants to make sure everything is as perfect as it can be.
And you could even tell, how these kids, maybe they work 6 hours, 5 hours a day, but the top echelon competitors will be on this stage. If we start at 7, they will be on the stage at 6 o'clock working their form, because as you do know, every ring is different. They have a different feel to it. Oh, there's a little bump here, or oh, it's a little softer here. Oh, they have the ring on the floor. It's a little more sturdier.
Yes.
Maybe I can hit this certain trick. That is a difference between having an athlete that works 5 hours a day, or just hits their form every once in a while.
Just casually do it. And congratulations to Mr. Rocco.
And I wouldn't be surprised if Ariel was one of those black belts, which he was. He will come to the stage an hour, 2 hours before the national finals and run his form, I don't know, 15 times because he wants to make sure he knows that every single inch of this stage.
That is one thing that was very important when you're fighting, because sometimes, for example, those mats in the other ballroom, they've been down on the floor, people have been using them, they've got some friction to them.
Yes.
But most people don't know that mats like these, when they pack them, they put a slight sheen of oil on them so that they don't stick together. So if they're using brand new mats right now,
it's horrible.
It's an ice skating rink out there.
It is ice skating. It is ice skating to, it's not the greatest to fight on brand new mats. Give me old, dingy, stinky mats. Something I could grip my feet on and I could push on. Oh, that's the greatest. Brand new mats, not the best. Not the best. I've unfortunately have competed in a few tournaments with brand new mats. It's hard. Absolutely hard, especially if you're working on a blitz, on a takeoff, on a touch and go, defensive touch and go. It's pretty rough.
You're exactly right. Now we've got Kai Kowalski, Kevin Kowalski, who loves to have his students, his sons here with him.
How old is Mr. Kowalski?
5 years old.
Oh, my goodness. Experience.
You're absolutely right.
If he does, oh, my goodness, I was going to jump out of my seat if he was going to do a back handspring or a backflip. Oh, my goodness. Shoulder roll, stands up like his father. He has amazing hair and presence. Look at that. Mr. Kowalski is an amazing instructor, an amazing friend of mine. He has to be like, over the moon with that.
I mean, I couldn't, I was blessed with all young ladies, and unfortunately none of them have gone into the martial arts. And I'm still waiting because, like I said, I was 19 when I started.
I was about to say that. Hey,
there's
you
still
started
time.
pretty late.
There's still time.
There's always going to be time when you start at 19. Mr. Sebastian Antirion coming up. I believe Sebastian was already on stage before for a different division.
I think you're right.
He's coming back from Guatemala. Talk about coming a long way.
That's the great thing with the U.S. Open. You're really going to get an international taste of competition here. We've got teams from Australia, from Germany, Guatemala, Mexico.
For the longest time, if you won at the U.S. Open, you know you were one of the world's best.
Absolutely
Because of that same reason, you're going to have kids, you're going to have competitors, adults, juniors from around the world. I remember competing here at the U.S. Open one of the first times and did very, very well. I remember telling my students back home, I'm like, man, I fought somebody from Germany. I fought somebody from Guatemala. I fought somebody from Mexico. I fought a few people from the United States, everywhere.
All right, our third and final competitor, Blakely Johnson.
All right, Blakely Johnson coming from the great state of Georgia on Team Strike Force. When you have a team name like that, you know what you should be expecting.
I believe she is an advanced green belt. I want to say, or maybe a gold belt. What belt would you think? It's a beginner. It's a beginner, so it would be an advanced yellow belt, advanced gold belt. I look at little girls like Blakely, and I just can't. I can't just hope. I could hope one of these days I can see my daughter up there. My daughter Oa Rose, she's 5 years old. 5 years old, going on about 27. She acts like she's 27. Little attitude, but my goodness, I would love to see my daughter up there one of these days. And a lot of the parents, a lot of the kids that are watching right now that are not in karate. I mean, it's so simple. Just look up local karate schools, walk in, get a free class. Some of these dojos now give free weeks, a free week
And Ms.
choose a
Johnson is
program and just grow.
just putting on a show
Blakely
here.
is- yes. She looks like a veteran up there. Look at that. Attitude, power. Facial looks, with the triple kick.
Nothing makes a dad smile more to see this baby girl
I'm over here.
doing something
Yes,
like this.
yes. Oh, my goodness. She did amazing. Did amazing.
All right, judges scoring for Kai in sport. 7 all the way across.
Good job, Kai. Good job.
So for Kai, we've got
Remember,
9
everybody,
sevens.
throw those questions out to Mallory. He loves answering them.
Oh, absolutely. We're monitoring the channel, of course.
8, 9, 8, and 8 for Sebastian.
Look, there's already love for you in the channel right there.
Oh,
Showing
yeah?
Master Vito right there.
Yeah. Oh, my beautiful sister. I think that is my cousin as well. Yeah, I got some fans out there. What can I say?
Oh, you got lots of fans out there, absolutely.
Got some fans coming up here.
And congratulations to Blakely Johnson coming out
Oh,
setting the stage on fire.
No surprise there. She did an amazing job. Amazing job.
So in the chat, obviously, there are more Vito fans than Mal fans, but that's how it is when you look as good as this guy right here. So, hey, the great part about this is that we're doing Night of Victory right now, and tomorrow's Night of Champions. If you think you like what you see here, wait until tomorrow and definitely tune in. Definitely go to the U.S. Open page. I do believe that's going to go out over Fight TV, if I remember correctly. Check out the U.S. Open website. You'll get all the details on how to stream everything that's out there tomorrow. Just some of the competitors are going to be on the stage. You've got people that are battling former champions to get the #1 champion spot. There's going to be team sparring. There's going to be women's sparring, men's sparring. There's going to be ITF Taekwondo sparring. There's going to be so much stuff.
If these kids they're putting the stage on fire, tomorrow they're going to be scorching it. Now, Mallory, I'm going to be a little biased here.
Uh-oh.
This is my son.
Uh-oh.
My son is up there.
Now can you be?
Oh my goodness, he hit the back tuck. I can't believe it. It was a discussion for the past 2 hours. Are you going to hit the tuck? Are you going to hit the backhand spring? And he hit the tuck, Mallory. I am holding back my tears right now.
This is a true proud dad moment right now.
Oh my goodness.
Is this the first time you were actually watching him on stage compete?
He did. His first time on stage was at Texas Cowboy Up. He was on stage, but he didn't make the night show finals. This is his first time in the night show finals. He's about to do his cartwheel.
Love for Bear in the chat too.
Finish strong, Puppy. Finish strong.
You guys should see him.
Yes,
He's
sir.
so nervous.
Yes, sir, Mallory.
He's so nervous watching his son. This is so beautiful.
Oh my goodness.
Now you can relax. Now you can relax. Look,
My goodness. I got chills. He did fantastic.
Not to be outdone, we've got Luciana Cruz coming on up here from Puerto Rico.
Puerto Rico.
Yeah.
Another country. Look at that.
Another guy. You got to love it. From Fast Guy
9
team.
years old.
9 years old to the stage.
Don't know if she's going to be doing a creative form or if she's going to be doing an extreme form.
We got some music
But here we go.
So.
Here we go.
Good turn right there. Sometimes you can tell how the Fakata is going to be by the way they introduce themselves to the judges or how they approach the judges. You kind of get a sense of that. Just looking at Miss Blakely Johnson just coming right past our camera point. She was so happy. Just got a big hug from maybe one of her parents. That's the great thing. Oh, whoa, look at that drop.
Beautiful split.
Great control
Good
on that right leg.
control.
Machine gun kicks, a little throwback.
Bringing it back. I was about to say that. Bringing it back to a little classic throwback.
Look at the
with the
flexibility.
extensions. So would you say this is, so this would be a creative?
Yes.
No, this would be an extreme with the back
she's
bend.
going over, inverting over it, so I would agree. All right, we got both competitors gone. Let's see how the judges saw it.
Yes.
Because we had nothing to do with it.
Yes.
All right. And scores for Bear, you're first. All right, make sure you see the scores. We have 9.
Bear's got some fans.
8 and 9.
We got a couple of 9s. Let's see. There's no one more nervous than my broadcast partner beside me.
If I'm a little quiet, I apologize.
And it looks like the
oh my goodness!
Oh,
Fantastic.
you got to have the switch.
I am extremely yes.
So grateful, so proud.
Bear does have his Texas fans over here.
Yes, we can hear them off to the
we
side.
run deep, Mallory. We run deep. We run
Texas
thick.
has always been about loyalty, man. I can tell you, if anything, if you find someone else from that state, and you say, hey, you're from Texas, and you guys kind of link up, even if you don't know each other. You know, you find out somebody in that division.
Texas we're extremely active when it comes to the tournament scene. And yes, all the top schools in Texas, we very much have that same mentality. Hey, the door's open. I don't care if you're my biggest competition or you're just starting. Yeah, come on over, train with us. I mean, I wouldn't want to just say just pigeonhole it to Texas. That should be around the country. That's around the country. If you get the top schools, their doors should be open. And you don't have to be, like I said, you don't have to be a white belt or a gold belt. You could be a black belt, and they could open up the doors.
We've got Zamir Tate, 9 years old, from Florida, Team Intensity. Looks like he may be the only one in this 9 and under advanced forms division. I was with him when he was taking his pictures, like that wonderful picture that you'll see on the screen. We don't have a monitor for the stream, but I know it's on there. It's going to be introducing himself. And he was just so intense about, as he did walk off the stage. He's like, yeah. I did it. I don't have a mic to drop, but I'm walking off.
I'm walking off.
So
he was the only competitor?
The only competitor in that division.
Now, he may not have been the only competitor in the sense of the only winner this past earlier in divisions. Sometimes life gets in the way. Maybe the person that won the CMX or maybe the person that won the Extreme, maybe that competitor wasn't available to compete.
Correct.
Sometimes family has to leave. Yes, sometimes Disney calls.
I was going to mention that. Speaking of, are your family going to take any of the parks?
Oh, yes. We're taking full advantage of the Disney parks. Me and my wife actually got married here in Disney.
Oh.
So we look forward to the July U.S. Open tournament every year. It is on our calendar. It's a big event.
Which park were you all married in?
Epcot.
Epcot?
Yeah, Epcot, yes. We were married in one of the resorts, and we had our reception at Epcot. So Epcot not only is our favorite park for different reasons, but it is our favorite park for because we had our wedding reception there.
I never knew that.
Yes. It was expensive, but it is what it is.
We've got Julian Monday, beginner.
From Florida. She's a local girl. Wow, she got some height on that round off back tuck. With the intensity look, throwing some elbow strikes.
When you, it's funny because I was no more for being a fighter, but I do remember doing kata. As we got Bear coming up to the broadcast booth, giving Dad a pound really quick. He made a beeline to come up here to you.
So you did forms growing up?
Yes, I did. I did forms and I did weapons. And it was actually getting an injury in weapons that I stopped the weapons training. I couldn't manipulate the tough ones that I used, so I stuck to sparring.
Isn't that a funny story? I got hurt in forms. So I stuck to sparring. So I stuck to hitting people.
It worked out a little bit better.
It was easier on your injury.
It was definitely easier on the injuries for me. We have got Louise from another competitor from Guatemala.
Guatemala with a strong showing tonight. Oh,
We got the house lights that just turned on, and so if you notice a different change in your palette, that sometimes happens when someone leans on the light switch. We've got that problem corrected. All right, let's see what Louise has got. Got to get down low in that stance, turn a nice couple reverse punches, a few little uppercuts there.
Yes, sir. Little realistic fighting.
Exactly.
I just think about these kids going back to Puerto Rico, back to Guatemala, back to Mexico, and just the stories that they're going to be telling their friends. Man, I was on stage. There was 3,000 people in the crowd. I wowed everybody. Man, what an experience.
I always wondered was, like, so the word got out that I was doing martial arts when I was in college, but these kids that go to elementary school, middle school, and high school, and with the internet, and like we're streaming this right now, there's going to be someone that finds out.
Oh, yes.
You know, like how do, especially the young ladies, how does that change the way they're perceived in
they're
their social
dangerous.
circles?
They're dangerous.
They're
no one's going to want to mess with them. See, so going back to the whole traditional, I came from a more traditional upbringing when it comes to karate. My father would tell me, don't tell anybody you're in karate. You know, I don't want anybody picking on you. I don't want anybody telling you, hey, come on, let's get in a fight or show me something. Going back to what you just said right now, it's so hard now because to keep it a secret because of the internet, because of YouTube and Facebook Live and Instagram Live and everything. And it's just showing these kids a completely different part of discipline to be like, hey, they're going to know you're in karate. Keep it to yourself a little bit, show some respect. And yeah, I mean, just these kids are going through something that me and you never went through.
You're exactly
and kudos
right.
to these kids.
Yes.
They're amazing.
12-year-old Shannon Latner from Fanning Springs, Florida, is on the stage now. Looks like it's going to be a traditional form, just has music in the background.
Oh, wow. And you could do this with a creative form because music is optional. I wonder if she won the creative division and just put it, or she won the traditional division and just put music behind it.
That's something, music can definitely accent the performance.
Yes.
Especially if you have the right music that's going on that emphasizes the strikes and you train to that music, you can really give that extra little push for your
yes.
kata.
Just like in a movie, how the music sets the mood. If you just like to jump what you just said, you get a good song, a good rhythm to set the mood for your form. It puts the crowd a little more into it. Maybe that is the difference between 9.9 and a 9.8.
Sometimes that good music will make the difference between first and second place.
A good music selection, kind of get everybody into it.
It's interesting you say that. If you go back and you start watching maybe movies that were made in the 60s where they didn't have the musical soundtrack, you're like, there's something a little bit missing here, you know. And Mr. Monday, we've got a couple of mixed scores here. Judges kind of a little bit undecided. We've got Louise up next. Let's see. I've got my money on Miss Latner, our last competitor.
Yes.
Couple of 7s and 1 9 for Louise. And let's see with our final competitor.
So Miss Cheyenne should get 2 9-9s. Let's see if she gets a couple of 9-8s.
There's 1 9.
Oh,
interesting. Okay.
I believe Mr. Luis gets it
with the win.
Wow. This has been the closest division on the scoring.
Yes, there are a lot of disagreement between the judges. As you can see, the scores going up and down for these competitors. So
that's a beautiful thing about an open tournament is that you do get an array of judges that are looking for certain things. You might get a judge that is a little bit more traditional based. You might get a judge that's a little bit more extreme based in the sense with the flips and the hard tricks. You might get a judge who is very, very diverse when it comes to the weapons. So to get a panel of judges to give you all 9 9s, that is quite a feat because you're getting judges that are, like I said,
collectively
agree that they think you're the best.
We've got the 10 to 13 intermediate forms up here. Matthew Castillo is taking the stage first. 13 years old from Pembroke Pines, Florida, a member of Premier Martial Arts.
Florida is showing up.
Yes, indeed.
That is great.
They're defending the home turf.
Yes. Florida has always been extremely strong when it comes to sport karate. Love it.
The state's really, it's interesting. The odd structure of the state, meaning, you got a couple different time zones and the panhandle and everything else. But Florida itself is primarily very large, and as I mentioned before, you have a lot of people that train with each other, whether you're in the southern tip in the Miami area or you're in the central Florida area like we're in now. There is a place and a home for you which you could sharpen your skills by reaching out to other people and other students.
Now, I personally know a lot of the top black belt fighters on the circuit today, and a lot of them are heading here to Florida to teach. They're either opening schools with one of their black belt comrades, or they're getting an assistant job with an already established school here. So, I mean, it is a very, very good chance that you're walking into a karate school in Florida and you're going to have a high caliber martial art instructor. I mean, talking a great sparring martial art instructor.
I mean, just so much to learn from not only that instructor, but as you mentioned, he's going to be she's going to be training with top-tier talent as well.
Yes.
So by that benefit, you receive a whole lot more. Like we mentioned, collectively together, everybody's learning.
Yes. Shout out to all the great Florida schools. Our good friends Obi, our good friend Damien, Jeremy.
Yes.
They have incredible karate schools, martial arts schools here in the state of Florida.
We've got Zara Stokes from a little small state called Texas.
Small state, yes.
Team Fierce Contact.
Now, Team Fierce Contact is ran by one of my great friends, Mr. TJ Lopez. Mr. TJ Lopez is one of those guys that have been competing since he was 6-7 years old with his father as his instructor. He branched out from his father's school. He's opened up his own school for, I want to say, close to a little bit over 10 years. He has brought his program to amazing heights. He still is an amazing instructor, competitor in the sparring and in the forms. But when it comes to his kids and their extreme forms, their levels, their technique, their different types of strikes, he's one of a kind. Mr. TJ Lopez, absolutely love the guy. Great instructor.
You actually have given me an idea, maybe for a future couple shows coming up on SMA Live, is that the second and third generation sons and daughters that, talking about their dads or their grandparents, like, what was it like to be the first one to open up a dojo in your own town when martial arts was not as popular? What was it like? What was the, the clientele like? How did it benefit you? And, you did such a good job that the next generation of your children took over as well. And then that process is repeating itself, like you mentioned with your dad. Maybe getting some stories from your dad, like, where he started training from and starting, the school there and everything, what it was like.
You could dive into different aspects of that world, of the whole, why'd you start it?
Yes.
Was this your main source of income? Because I know for my father, it wasn't his main source of income. I've always said this, and I'm going to say this the day I die. My father has so much more love for the karate art than I can ever have, because he did this when he was making no money, when he was actually getting money out of his own pocket to pay for rent, to pay for the light, and he still did it. He worked for a government job, working 8-hour, 16-hour shifts, still going in, still teaching karate, still doing the 3-4 classes a day, and he was the only instructor, Mallory, the only instructor. So I think that is a fantastic idea to really deep dive into these second, third generation martial art instructing schools.
I think I'm definitely going to have to do that. Congratulations to Zara Stokes winning that division. And we've got 10 to 13 advanced forms coming to the stage right now. I think there is definitely storytelling to be told there, from let alone working 8 hours is hard enough, but then to go and then have the energy to teach after that. And as you mentioned, the only instructor, man, that is
the only instructor, which, I didn't realize how hard it is until, honestly, I've never realized how hard it is because I've always had my father as one of the main instructor, and I worked off of him. He gave me the school back in 2005, and we worked our way to where we are right now. And, not going to sugarcoat it, it's gone a little easier because of the kids that we have raised that are now black belts from our system that worked at the dojo. So for me to work 16-hour shifts and then go teach 4 classes, I just never done that. So my father's an amazing person, which a lot of these like I said, third generation, second generation martial arts schools they have that instructor from their father or their mother.
And you also see a lot of families that are just completely embedded in. Mom is at the dojo, dad's at the dojo, maybe mom's out on the floor, dad's working in the office, or vice versa. And like kids that are born into it that spend more than 40 hours a week there, they're going to be born into it, like you said you were. And
my son
is going to be part of your blood.
I think that is a fantastic idea, Mallory. Let me know if I can help you out with anything of it.
I think we just had an idea for it. We're definitely going to talk about that. So that was Daniel Lanes and Anderson.
An amazing form. Good tricking.
Very explosive. 12-year-old Anderson from California, from San Diego, all the way across the country. Similar weather.
Similar weather, yes.
Every time I've been to San Diego twice this year for work, and every time I go there, it's been cold and rainy, and I think it's just me.
Oh, yeah.
Just taking it personal, you know.
You're bringing the weather
I'm
with you.
bringing the weather in. I don't get it, so I'm not think about it.
This young man is from Team Freestyle. Now, they are known for their tricking, for their forms, for their creative, extreme forms. They are extremely sharp. Their team they have a team demo form that is, I think, second to none. I think the only people that really compete with them is the Team Competitive Edge.
Yes.
But this team is amazing.
I mean, look at the explosion of this young man. Little butterfly right there.
Wow.
Just so fluid with it. Almost kind of a throwback to Jeff Dawson, looked like. You'll definitely see him on stage tomorrow night.
Yes. Sushi himself. Oh, wow.
Age 12,
Absolutely,
a lot of points, man.
Yes. So he did a little bit more of a creative form. He didn't go upside down. If I'm not mistaken, he did a creative form. Our first competitor did an extreme form. He had the flips, he had the tricks, he had the twist. Let's see who the judges
Let's see that the judges saw it. And we're getting into the nitty-gritty in terms of different division and different rules for each division. So it's when you have different martial arts division, creative, musical, extreme, and everything, you have to have those different rule sets so you separate them. And of course, when they come together like this, now you have the judges making their decision on, for that one time at that one tournament, who is better. You know, you can run this back 10 different times. Daniel may beat Anderson. Anderson may beat Daniel.
Yep.
So just today, as in this moment, Daniel is the winner. Congratulations to Daniel.
And the beautiful thing is that they could compete in next month's tournament.
Yes.
They have a month, maybe a little bit more than a month, maybe about 5 to 6 weeks to actually go back to their dojo, train harder, fix maybe what they think is some mistakes, come back and compete against each other.
And because of the stream, of course, now you can look at yourself. You can look at what your opponent did. You know, maybe they made a mistake here. Maybe it's something maybe I need to fix before you get to the U.S. Capital Classics, which is the next tournament in Washington, D.C. in August. Come on out and see some nation's history. Look at the monuments.
Oh, yeah.
It's great. It's a great visit. All right, we are at the 11 and under Class A black belt forms Amateur World Championship. So you may see a black belt here. And it will be our Class A. And at the U.S. Open, sometimes they separate the Class A from the Double A. Meaning
why do they do that?
So a couple of years ago, maybe a few years ago, you know, they were getting feedback. It's like, how come you're not getting a lot of local competitors? So the feedback that they received is that some of the maybe competitors that were interested in getting in and competing for the first time, and maybe they were black belt, they would see these national competitors and they were like, you know, we don't stand a chance. So they created this division to get them to come out and enjoy competing and, you know, get a trial of it where they're
kind
being
of get
separated.
their feet wet a little bit.
I mean, it's a shark's nest to jump in. I mean, I didn't have that option when I was going. It was just like, hey, buddy, just jump on in here. If you survive, great. If you don't, hey, we'll go on without you.
Best of luck.
Best of luck to you. Bow in, bite down on that mouthpiece, and go for it.
Yes.
You know? But having that option there, you're going to grow. You're going to grow confidence for newer competitors and everything out here. Some people want that. They want to come in here and run through that crucible and everything. While other people I'm not so sure and everything else. But it depends on that fire that's in your belly. You may go out there and you may lose your first tournament. You say, you know what, never again. And then you're increasing your hours at the dojo. You're out there looking for more time to train in and everything. You may go out there and think that, hey, I'm the best in my school. And you come out here and find it's a different world.
Completely different
you're
world.
Big fish in a small pond. I mean, it all depends on how you take that that lesson learned as Amy Adams makes her way to the stage.
But the U.S. Open gives you that option to say, hey, let me compete with the newer black belts.
Yes.
Or the kids that haven't competed nationally. Let me compete with these guys, see how I do here, which is, I feel that it's a great lesson because let's just say you compete here as in the A division, you don't win. Well, now you know where you stand. You could go back to the dojo, you could fix your mistakes, or on the flip side, you come over here and extremely destroy the competition in the A division. It should tell you, okay, maybe I am good enough to kind of jump in with the double A. Next year, I have a whole year to really, really focus on my craft, get better, even better than what I am right now, and maybe make a killing next year in the double A division.
I mean, we see this in other sports in terms of, let's talk about combat sports. You have amateur boxing, amateur MMA, amateur kickboxing. You have amateur jiu-jitsu competitions for people that are, they want to get their feet wet, but they don't want to go out there with those killers.
Yeah.
You see the same thing in collegiate basketball, high school basketball, and other sports. So you're not being thrown to the wolves right away. You're building up your confidence. You're building up your skills, and that would be the same thing here while we have the single A competition.
Good way to ease into sport karate martial art competition.
You're exactly right. Bryant's going to be scored first, and let's see how the judges saw it. A couple of 8s being thrown out. It looks like all 8s, so we would expect Miss Adams to get the 9.99. And Joe Perry called it right. All 9s across the board.
Mr. Perry wearing those flashy shoes. What
fresh kicks.
Are those? They look like either Kyrie's or Kobe Bryant shoes.
Let me tell you right now, Joe Perry comes with like 10 different pairs of sneakers. He's got to be looking good.
To say that Mr. Perry's a bit of a diva, a bit of understatement. Love you, Mr. Perry.
But he's always looking sharp.
Always looking sharp. Hey man, you could be exactly. You could be a diva, but if you look good with it, all power to you.
If you look good, you feel good, you perform good.
Oh, yeah.
And he's been out there like you all day today, so I definitely appreciate you joining the booth with me today. You've been out there judging all days, coaching all day. You've done a full day's work, and we're here to help out with the night of
I like to call it's a typical Saturday at a tournament. Typical Saturday at a tournament.
Expect this.
Yes.
14 to 17-year-old beginner weapons coming up here.
We have a white belt.
White belt. Hey, this is the beginning of this is the start of the start.
The beginning of the beginning. I love that. Yes.
And he's got commas too.
Walking in with intensity. That's the thing. You got to walk onto this ring as if you own it.
You're exactly. It's those little things that you learn as you pick up things. Maybe you'll get a private lesson to for these great competitors out there. This little age 15 from Chiefly, Florida.
Something I tell my students whenever they do a form, I tell them, hey man, no one else is in this ring, on this stage. This is yours.
Yes.
This is yours for at least 3 minutes. It's yours. Command it. Act like you belong here.
And I would agree with that comment that was just left on the video. These kids are amazing. I mean, really, it kind of, as a parent, it really makes you look at, like, your kids different. Like, these are children, the age of your kids' peers. They're the same age. And through discipline, they're learning this. They're learning how to control a weapon. They're learning how to do a kata. They're learning how to do the splits. They're learning to yes, sir, yes, ma'am, yes, sir, no, ma'am, so on and so forth. It's a change in attitude and change in behavior, and I really have to give the martial arts credit for helping me. Latter half of my college and into my professional career, learning to have the discipline, the confidence to talk to someone,
yes.
And to argue my point at work. Sometimes as a coder, you have to say, no, this is the way we're doing it. I got confident doing that. And as we welcome Mr. Josh Folsom to the stage, and he's got tumfas.
Tumfas. That is a very traditional weapon.
Yes,
you don't
indeed.
see many competitors using the Tom Fuzz, even in the traditional divisions.
Both of these young men are from the same school.
Both white belts. This is beautiful.
I love it.
17 years old, from Florida. Love it.
So I used to use this weapon. I enjoyed the challenge of learning it. I always thought it was a practical weapon too, because these are essentially P24s that police carry.
Yes. They're a lot more typical than, say, a kama or a katana.
You might get stopped walking down the street with a bladed weapon like a kama, but these you can be like, oh no, I'm just walking down here with this. But he's got great control of the weapon, especially spinning and stopping and reconnecting.
Power control on these traditional forms. You want to see one of the things that I like to note, I like to focus on, are their heels on a forward stance. So whether he is right now, whether front leg is bent, back leg is straight, it's very easy for, especially for a beginner, to pick up their back heel, and you could see, yeah, and you could tell, okay, he's not very balanced. He has to work on that. But as you can see here, he has a very good forward stance. Both heels are down, front leg is bent, back leg is straight. Good control. He started the form with a certain amount of power, and he is finishing with that same power. Look at that. And he and he finishes a little fancy.
Movement. Okay.
Beautiful job.
I'm looking at some of his students, maybe his instructor off stage, and just absolutely enjoying that performance.
Screaming. Do we have one more?
Oh, we only have two. Oh,
no, no.
No, we do have
late edition.
I don't have this, so we'll see. We'll see what's going on. A little conference with Mr. Perry.
Yeah.
Let's see what's going to happen.
Right, please welcome Sierra to the stage.
Sierra's coming to the stage. Okay. Also, looks like by the insignia from the same school, if I'm correct. Got a little bit of a different. From
looks like the same uniform. Also a white belt.
Also a white belt. They must have an amazing beginner group. I love it. Let me actually shout that school out. Let me get the name. Sensei Shuri International. From, looks like we got Sensei Shuri International, Wilkinson Taekwondo.
From Bronson.
I'm
Bronson, Florida.
Gonna go ahead and mention all of them, because just the the information that they have for their beginner belts, that's impressive. I think I was a yellow belt when I started. I don't think I had the confidence as a white belt to do it.
I was a white belt. My father threw me into a tournament. He said, "Hey,
go.
You're fighting today." Okay,
guess what?
You got it.
Good intensity
with
too.
A spin kick.
And there with the mat action system, she's been at it. Perfect.
Miss Sierra, 16 years old.
We just got that update on the fly. Gotta love it.
Oh, she throws a toss. She
Great
catches
catch.
it, Mallory. Beautiful job. Way to end the form on a high note. Now, will that type of creative weapon be enough to secure her the win? These were three extremely good
the
forms,
thing is interesting,
let alone white belts.
They're probably in the same class together. If they go to the same school, there might be a little bit of competitive rivalry there. If someone's going to win. So Sam with a mixed bag of scores, a couple of 8s, 1 9. You know what? Next practice session, wherever that may be, maybe it's Monday or Tuesday, might be a little bit interesting.
9, 8, 9, and 9.
Couple of 9s for Josh. Makes that 4 9s.
Seems like Josh secured the win. Very, very good. It was a very strong form. We got the latecomer Sierra coming in. Beautiful job. Great scores. Yes,
Great
I would
love for all of these.
I would love to be at the dojo come Monday.
And a lot of fan service there, as we can hear the audience.
Josh has the bragging rights for an entire year.
And he's got great hair. I took his picture. It's one of the only pictures I got right, as I'm sure the rest of the SMA staff will tell you. I'm terrible taking pictures of the camera.
Stick to commentating, sir. Stick to commentating.
I'd like put a microphone with me. I'll gladly do this.
We got the 14, 17 intermediate weapons coming up. We have Miss Parks versus Tyler.
And she is from Whiteville, Virginia, all the way close to me. Whiteville's a little bit distance away from where I learned, for where I'm from, but still, good to see some representation from my home state. Looks like we're going to get a musical form here.
I love coming to these tournaments and being able to see the different types of uniforms, different colored weapons, different hairstyles. I love seeing it.
I mean, it's just like traveling across the United States. There's going to be a difference in culture no matter where you go. And martial arts are the same. So you're teaching the basic principles. So, but there will be some differences from here and there. And it's the differences that make us stronger.
Yes.
Just because they do it different this way, you can learn from it. You can adapt it. You can become stronger. There's no reason to say, hey, it's got to be this way and this way.
Yes. Alexa is pulling out all the tricks.
I mean, just catching the ball at will, no problem.
She has thrown at least 7 tricks, and she has caught all of them. Don't want to jinx her, but she's doing fantastic.
And if you notice, every time that she did have a release, she had that bow well sighted, catching it right in the middle. You know, continuing on. It wasn't bumpy. It wasn't hesitant. It was great.
There was no pause. It was catch and go, catch and go, catch and go. Beautiful form.
Tyler Stallings from Alabama, from Team Impact, from Impact Martial Arts, is up next.
Tyler coming out with a heavyweight white uniform, more of a traditional bow. I know we spoke about it before, so we are going to be looking for a little bit of a quote-unquote stronger form in the sense of his striking and his hitting, maybe lower stances.
And there is what you can hear the bow hitting him in the ribs doing those strikes.
This is going to be a hard division, as it looks right now. It's going to be a hard division to score.
Well, we're up here in the commentators booth and not down here with the judges, so I think we're safe.
Lucky us. Lucky us. We both have been in the judges table before, judges chair, and it is not an easy chair to be in, especially with a division this hard.
They make it hard for you.
Yes.
They make it very hard for you.
The judges are looking for the slightest mistake.
I hate to say it this way, but sometimes you're just like, hey, if you give me that mistake, it makes my job
easier. It makes your job so much easier.
easier.
I'm so happy you said it and not me.
I'm not, you know, you're not wanting someone to make a mistake, but the competition is so tight that you can't give the same score for both competitors, but you have to have a reason for why you chose competitor A over competitor B. And it's like, just something slight, just something did you do better, a little bit better than the other person.
And sometimes, Mallory, it is literally, like you just said, the smallest one. It's literally thinking of looking at the heel was up, or your hand wasn't tucked all the way. Sometimes it's that. It comes down to that. So the traditionalist takes it again, Mallory. If these judges are nothing, they are consistent. They are really, really liking the traditionalist a little bit more than the flashy of the extreme or the creative forms.
And sometimes that's what you get. You know, it's really the tournament know-how to see if you can identify and understand that. But a lot of these competitors, especially as they go up, they'll compete in multiple divisions. So if you didn't win on the extreme side and you won on the traditional side, you
might have another chance.
14 to 17 advanced weapons up first.
And myself, coming from a traditional background, kind of gets me in a good mood to see, hey, you know what, the traditionalists are having their day-to-day.
You're exactly right.
It's nice to see because, you know, sometimes you'll get a tournament where the judges just have more of a creative bug in them, a little bit more like, oh, wow, this is a little more flashy. And they kind of, you know, you get two different types of forms, and they're both great, fantastic, and sometimes the judges will lean a little bit on the other side, more creative. And it doesn't go year to year. Sometimes it goes tournament to tournament.
It sometimes goes division to division.
Yes, sometimes it does go division to division. Yes.
Great high kick right there from her. Complete control over the weapon.
Now, to a person who's really not gone to a lot of tournaments, you can really tell the difference of just ranking. You don't even have to look at their belts. You could tell that, one, their form's a little bit more intricate. It's a little bit more difficult.
Yes.
But their technique, the way they kick, a kick is supposed to have 4 steps to it: a chamber, extension, rechamber, reset. that's one aspect of it. Then you can see, okay, are they hitting with the heel? Are they hitting with the ball of the foot, which is a little bit harder? Are they pointing their foot on a round kick? The control of their form. So you don't just have to see their belt, but you could just see the difficulty of their form.
The way they perform it. You're exactly right. It's also interesting that sometimes you'll see a competitor perform and you say, man, they look exactly like their instructor.
Yeah.
They kick like their instructor. They punch like their instructor.
Especially in the fighting sense.
Especially in the fighting sense, because you're learning from someone, and you don't necessarily want to become a duplicate of your instructor. And your instructor is always going to want you to perform better than he or she.
Yes, always, always. I'm in a position where I'm blessed enough to have color belts ranging from 5-year-olds all the way to 15-year-olds, color belts, and like you said, they kind of fight the way that I fight a little bit. They're a little bit more leg heavy. They start leading with their leg. But once they get to a point where they're brown belts, maybe even purple belts, they start developing their own style. They start developing, you get to 15 and sometimes you don't get a growth spurt. Right. So you start having to go, okay, maybe I'm not as tall as my my competitors, as my fellow competitors. So I gotta get real good with my angles, real good with my hands.
Really good with your footwork.
Sometimes you do get that 15-year-old growth spurt and be like, oh wow, I got a good kick, and you start becoming a kicker. You start getting your own style. I do have 3, 4, 5 black belts that are 15 all the way ranging to 23, 24, and they all fight completely different. Completely different. But when they were younger, they kind of all fought like me a little bit, and
now they're breaking down on their own a little bit.
They're completely on their own. Not one fights exactly like the other. It's a beautiful thing to see. It's a beautiful thing to see kids from 4-year-old start developing their own style, their own taste to it. They start developing their own way to teach.
Yes.
It's a fantastic thing.
There's the branching out again and learning newer things and teaching different ways, because sometimes it takes an instructor that has learned that way to reach someone else. To your job as an instructor, whether you're teaching mathematics or martial arts, is to get the concept from your brain to the student's brain, and so they understand it and make it their own.
Yes.
And sometimes different instructors will be able to teach in different ways and reach different students.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, one of the things is, as we watch these two great competitors on stage, man, this is going to be tough as well. They both deliver great katas. You see that similarity in instructor to student, but one of the challenges that these young people have is that they're still growing. As you mentioned, maybe they didn't get a growth spurt, but what happens when you do grow? You're essentially in a new body after the end of summer or even during winter. You have this growth spurt. So they have to deal with them being maybe 6 inches taller, or 2 or 3 inches taller. Their arms are longer and everything. So that's a challenge in itself.
And to be doing that as you're still competing is a gigantic challenge.
And Ms. Gonzalez with the win. Straight nines across the way. She did a great.
Both of them
did sword.
Yes, I was about to say that. Both of them did sword. Something you don't really see. Usually you'll see somebody with a bow, maybe some commas, but both of them doing swords.
That actually may have made it a little bit easier on the judges because you could directly compare and contrast. Same weapon.
Apples to apples. Yes.
12 to 13, Class A black belt weapons. Coming up next, we have 2 competitors. Up next, Vanch is coming up first. Let's see. From Australia.
Wow.
New South Wales. I read New South Wales. I said, wait a minute. That sounds like it's not in the United States.
No.
Once again, mentioning the international competition that you get to experience here at the U.S. Open. And the great thing is that seeing kids when they compete internationally, kids make friends.
Yes.
And because of the internet and all these communication applications we have, they remain friends. I was in a different league one time, and there were these 2 young girls who had made friends with each other to exchange uniforms at the end of the week.
Oh, yes.
But the interesting thing is that one spoke English, the other spoke German. But these young ladies got along.
But their same language was karate.
The same language was karate.
I've been in that position before. I've competed with Team USA, and it's a fantastic thing to experience. After the tournament is done, you make friends. You make family.
Yes.
I mean, Mallory, you know this. When you go into a ring and you actually exchange blows, you actually exchange punches and kicks, you tend to have some sort of camaraderie at the end.
Yes.
So to have that type of respect what the martial arts gives you and say, hey, man, love you a lot. If you're ever in the States, if you're ever in Texas, come on. Hey, I like your uniform. You want to switch? It's a fantastic experience.
You are essentially having a conversation in that 2 minutes out there. Maybe it's a little bit more physical.
Yeah,
but
a little bit.
You come back with a little appreciation. This person does something a little bit better than you. You do something a little bit better than them. And you're like, hey, let's combine efforts. If you're ever, I've had offers that, hey, if you're ever in Germany, come on by. You know, we'll take care of you. And that is sincere. You know, if you make these relationships.
I've been in that position where I have gone to different countries and I have trained at my friends now, my friend's dojo, my friend's school, my friend's backyard.
Yes.
Yes, it's a beautiful thing. And I've told this to my young black belts. It's an amazing position to be in that you can go to any major country in the world and have somebody there that you know because you compete with them or you compete with their kids, with their students, and they'll open up their dojo, they'll open up their house for you. It's an amazing community that we're all a part of, that sports martial arts community, to say, hey, we're going to take a vacation to New York. I know people there. I know people that are going to show us around. Hey, we're going to take a vacation to Ireland. I know people there.
Yes.
Let's you know, I have a friend that's going to show us around. It's a great position. It's a great community that we have grown for ourselves.
We've got Shreya, 13 years old, from Florida, from Family Taekwondo of Melbourne. As you mentioned before, you can see by the white gi, it's going to be a more traditional bow form. But just to, to comment on just what you were speaking on, not only do you enjoy going and training with it, but people love to host you. But, oh, you're coming in to visit. Oh, you have a place to stay, the food, you train together, and you get that enriched experience. One of the things that I would love to hear is that going back to some of my fellow teammates and competitors, Jody Tension. Jody would travel to Ohio to train with Anthony Price. He would travel all over the place to train with different people. He would come to the D.C. area, and I'd say, hey, let me know when you're coming up. And he would take the bus and come down and train. And, while he was in time, I'd make special effort. Let me go train with him. Let me go, spend some time. Let's go do this. And doing that, you're enriching yourself with not only other people, but other family members, as you mentioned, that are in different states. But you're learning so much more, and you're taking that back to your school.
That's important. You're taking it back to your school, and you're just spreading that knowledge. And I know we said it in this broadcast already, but that's the essence of the martial arts. It is getting some sort of new knowledge and spreading it to your students. Because that's just going to live on. It's going to live on, and then your students are going to make it their own, and they'll switch it up, and they'll make it better. They'll compete with it. It's a never-ending cycle, which is the martial art way.
You're exactly. And as we get these scores for these two competitors, it's not even always about well, I know I'm better than you, and you come train and be like, no, we're both learning from this exchange. Because at one time, if that person is the best, they were not all the best all the time. They didn't just pop out and just were, this famous person. But you're learning together, and it'll be a teaching moment. Maybe you'll show this person something that they never heard of. And it looks like the Shreya is going to win this with, let's see, 4 nines. I got 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes,
4 nines. The traditionalist gets it again.
Definitely. You know what? Everybody that's prepared for, Night of Champions tomorrow, traditionalists might have a slight advantage going into this
I don't know
thing.
if we're going to have the same judges, but traditional are taking it tonight.
You're exactly right about that.
Next division is 12-13. 12-13 forms, black belt forms. We only have one competitor. As of right now on our computer, it's only one competitor, Mr. Rocco.
Let's see,
I would imagine he's doing a extreme or creative form with the music and the hand being raised.
Signaling for the music. A little slow tempo music coming out, setting the mood.
Ooh, setting the mood. Everybody quiet up. I'm on stage.
That low rumble of thunder, that music kind of prepares the crowd, kind of settles them for a second. He's got some poise as he comes to the stage.
I mean, we even quieted up for about 5 of those seconds. Look at that.
The music had that effect on us.
Rocco quieted us up for about 5 seconds.
Wait a minute. Something's going to happen.
Waiting for the beat to Up, as the young ones say.
And he's got this kata very choreographed to the music.
Oh, very nice start. Good stanzas. Like I said, we got to look at those stanzas.
It's all about the basics.
Basics wins championships, everybody. Basics win championships.
Good control forms, good techniques on punches and kicks.
Good stanzas.
Yes, that is what will do it for you.
Changing levels up, going forward, going backwards. Good clean form by Mr. Rocco. Finishes strong, excellent job. I'm going to go out on a limb here. I'm going to say he's going to win it.
I think you might be right. He's going to take
12
that
years
back to
old.
the state of Georgia.
Representing Premier Martial Arts in Melbourne. Mr. Joey Perry giving Mr. Rocco the Grand Championship trophy, Grand Championship Cup. Now, my opinion, I've always loved the cups and the medals.
Yes.
As I got older,
yes.
Younger, loved the 6-foot trophies, loved the 5-foot trophies. I remember winning it as a winning a 5-foot, 6-foot trophy as a child. And I know now what my dad has gone through or went through trying to stick that thing in a plane.
Yes.
Oh, my goodness.
It looks like we've got some sparring going to come to the stage right now.
Flying home with a 6-foot, 5-foot trophy wasn't the easiest thing.
But you got a lot of attention.
Oh,
People,
a lot of attention.
What is this for? And you get to say, oh, it's for a karate tournament. You know, that was a great thing to say.
I remember one year winning 4 6-foot trophies. And my dad gave me a choice. You take one or you take none. And I said, okay, I'll just take one because we weren't going to take 4 of them on a plane.
It's a lot to. While we're getting up here, we got Jadrian Monday in the white headgear waiting for his opponent, Mr. Gustavo Castro. We're waiting to see if they can locate Mr. Castro so we can get a little bit of fighting in. That's great. We get to mix in this fighting.
Yes,
maybe something that you and I know a little bit something about.
A little bit.
We got a little message there for you.
My father, super proud of my grandson.
Shout out to your dad for watching the stream.
My pops.
That is amazing.
Amazing. So we have the winner of the 14-15 open rank.
Yes.
Versus the winner of the 16-17 open rank.
All right, so this is the first sparring match we've seen tonight. All techniques that are done with the foot are 2 points, and any hand techniques are 1 point. So Jadrian.
Now this is an open rank sparring match, not an open weight. The open weight is pretty much more considered for the black belts.
Yes.
So the open rank, you're gonna have pretty much anybody from the color belts could compete. You're gonna have anywhere from white belt all the way to red-brown belt. Now we do know that Mr. Mundane is a white belt because he has a white belt on.
Yes.
Don't know what belt color Mr. Gustavo is.
Right,
Mr.
I can't tell, or he may not be wearing one. But it's interesting. You have these beginner level, fighters with limited experience. But this is especially in a good program. One, you're not going to be afraid. That's what most people that see this and they see it's a combative sport. They're like, aren't you scared to go out there? Yeah, sure. But, there's a little bit of fear involved and there's some butterflies. But you have to rely on your training and the confidence that I've best prepared myself for this moment.
And a lot of these, I would say most of these fighters have a little bit of a support system because they can, I don't know if these fighters have, I'm trying to look, but they can have their coach behind them.
That's correct.
Now their coach, as a color belt, you kind of rely a lot more on your coach. Even as a black belt, as a black belt, you rely so much on your coach. But as a color belt, you rely a lot on your coach to tell you little tidbits, little tips to say, hey, move towards your back. Hey, move towards your chest. He's gonna be kicking. He's only kicking one time when he drops. Take off.
Go here. Do this. And it's funny because in the amount of time that you're out here, especially as it gets louder, because sparring makes people cheer louder. I began to hear 3 voices clear. Make that 4. I would hear my instructor. I would hear Gerald Dawson. I would hear my dad, my mom, and then Coach Mike Conroy. So everybody could be yelling, but somehow I was able to find you, even with headgear on. When he said, hey, I want you to cut the angle and blitz. Okay, boom. I would go and I would do that.
In a crowd of noise, you could hear that. You could hear that whisper.
You could focus right through there. Looks like there is a side kick that went in there. You have to have a confirmation of the judges, so that is 2 points on our right side.
My father was my instructor, so there's out of year 4, there's 2 of mine. I could always hear the head coach. I could always hear the head judge, of course. And my mother was a person she was the mom that was far, far away from the action. She didn't really want to be right there with it. Nobody should hit her baby boy. That was. But my mother was always far away, recording it with a big VHS. Yes, big VHS
big size,
camera.
Full-size VHS. Hey, congratulations to Gustavo winning that match by, I think it was 4-0 by the time we got the final score in there. And look at the smiles for these guys that just went in.
Man.
So I've said this before. There's obviously something wrong with us because we think therapy is punching and kicking each other. I've had bad days, and I've gone to the dojo, and you go do about 10 rounds, and you come out just feeling better.
Amazing.
Just come out feeling wonderful.
Amazing.
So that's my therapy.
A lot of these times, your bag knows you more personal than a lot of other people.
100%.
Yes. So we're going to jump back to forms,
and
beginner forms. This is just 14, 17 beginner forms.
Let me make sure I got the right. That is Brooke. Let me make sure I'll pull that information back up again. Another one of your fellow Texans, Midland, Texas.
Midland. So where I'm from, Laredo, Midland is only a small 8 hours away from us.
Just a short.
God.
Texas is one of the states you can drive 48 hours and still be in the state.
Yes.
You go from corner to corner.
The same state. It is so big, and it's so hot. I think right now,
very hot.
I think right now in South Texas and Laredo, it's probably about, I don't know. It's 8 o'clock right now in Laredo. It's still over
100 degrees.
Over 100 degrees, which is ridiculous.
You guys love the sun. A little shout out to my wife's hometown, Abilene, Texas, and the Chip Towson, who is a world championship breaker many years here at the U.S. Open. It's always great when I'm in town at Abilene. I'll run past his dojo just say hi to him. He's out there beating tires with sledgehammers and everything else. Like, hey man, you gotta stay in shape.
We got Mr. Pablo Santos coming up to the stage.
And great thing about Pablo, he is from Chile.
Wow, another country. That is beautiful. Sport karate spreading all
over the planet.
All over the place.
Kempo stylus. Continuous action. The one thing that you learn to appreciate is, of course, the different arts. Looking at a Kempo form, as I mentioned, I was saying, yes, continuous action. There's going to be a lot of flow there. Punches, kicks, throws, eye gouges, groin strikes, elbows. It's going to be dirty. It's going to be dirty and grimy, but that's what fighting is sometimes.
Yes. And in these open tournaments, you'll have the privilege of having a Kempo. Kempos go up there, do a Kempo form, and then on the same stage, you'll have somebody do a Korean form, traditional Korean form, high kicks, beautiful jumps, good technique, good extension, and then they'll come up and they'll do a karate traditional Japanese Okinawa form, which is going to be low stances, hard hits, hard strikes. You learn, like you said, you learn to appreciate the different styles of martial arts.
And one of the things, like as you mentioned, like those all nines for Brooks, so I think she's got this. Oh, she 198. I think she's got this in the bag, and congratulations to her. But if you've ever crossed styles, like for example, if you have a friend that, let's say, takes jiu-jitsu, and you say, hey man, I'll come work out, and you go and do, like, this stuff is hard. And if they come and they like, you got to punch and kick all this, they'll say, man, this style is hard.
Yeah.
But exposing yourself to something different like that, and learning a different martial art or experiencing a different martial art, you learn to appreciate it more. You know, if somebody came in and said, hey, we'd like to do a wushu form, I'm like, man, you got like 200 moves in the wushu form. I'm going to be dead tired by the time I'm finished. But you'll definitely
appreciate it. A lesson my father, my main instructor, always taught me, always be a student. Always be a student.
Always be a student, yes. Coming up next, we've got 14 to 17 intermediate forms. Hannah Beck is our first competitor, 17 intermediate, looks like a purple belt from Spring Hill, Florida. And I hope I'm pronouncing this right, Kufman's Karate. And as we read out all these different schools, different school names, and we're seeing, you know, they're different. These are everywhere. As we mentioned, you could just have in the state alone hundreds of different schools, hundreds of different instructors. And each one of their instructors that have seen a student here tonight, as she opens up with a back tuck, are proud of their students.
How can you not be? To be an instructor and to have the privilege of having one of your students on the stage, that's what it's all about. That's what it's all about.
And you know you've reached one notch higher on the goal list.
Yes.
Like, hey, this is the beginning. We want to go further. We want to do better. We want to kick higher.
Mrs. Beck going strong with her kicks, with her tricks, hitting the corner, usually with the round-off back.
Let's see. There it
Tuck.
is.
Very good, very good. She's kind of stumbled a little bit. Going to continue.
A little deep in the landing.
Yes.
But that's what comes with practice. You know, it's interesting because you learn, especially doing tumbling passes like that. Maybe I got to punch that floor harder.
Yes.
Maybe I've got, maybe I got to work on doing, jumping jacks or jump squats so that you can
incorporate a little bit of weights. Maybe,
exactly.
Get a little stronger legs.
But that's all for the instructor to determine. Like, hey, we saw that. Let's work on this. Carly Jenkins coming to the stage now, intermediate belt from the great state of Texas, from Friendswood.
Al Garza's Premier Martial Arts.
14 years old and a green belt.
Hand being raised, ready to go. Oh, you cannot match the feeling. I know we said this already, but you cannot match the feeling that you feel when you're on stage under the lights, and then to have everybody clapping for you.
Exactly.
Come on now. How can you not be excited?
As you walk out there, you know all the eyes, as Tupac said, all eyes on me. You're just out there, and you're trying to be composed. You're trying to walk out with confidence. You know, your shoulders are square, your back is straight, and you're implementing that discipline that everyone knows you have. And inside, you got butterflies just beaming in and out of your stomach.
Now, the many times that I had the privilege of being on stage under the lights, it was always for fighting. I was through and through a fighter. I cannot imagine the type of tension, the type of nervousness that one can feel when you have to do a form.
Yes.
I would blank out.
I hope I don't forget. I don't want to forget.
I would blank out completely.
I don't want to drop my weapon.
Oh, my goodness.
It's interesting because you would hear forms competitors talk that way. Like, for example, they would say, man, you're going to go out there against a guy who's got strong kicks. I can't imagine going out there. And you're saying, look, I'm hoping that I can't imagine you going out there. Maybe I'll forget the form. Maybe I'll get the lights will get in my eyes, or maybe there's a wobble in the floor or something. Okay,
I cannot imagine that.
From Ms. Beck,
I didn't even think about the lights. Sometimes we have these competitors that throw the bow, throw their weapon up in the air. My goodness, what if the lights are, man, I've never even thought about that.
It's interesting also, and also just talking about the butterflies in the stomach. And while you have that, as you bow in and you're waiting for the judge to say, are you ready to fight?
Oh.
Immediately it goes away and you're in the zone. You're reading your opponent. You're forcing a turn. You're maybe throwing fakes. That's the best remedy for those nerves.
And you've talked about it. Time slows down, but in a weird way, it feels like you fight for 5 seconds.
You're like, wait, that's time?
Time slows down, and then it's like, time. It's done. It's like, really?
Like, it was so short.
My goodness.
We're back to 14 to 17 advanced forms. We've got Greenlee Conley up first. And Ms. Conley is from Alabama, from Spanish Fort, Alabama.
She's representing Team Sharkey.
Yes.
Team Sharkey is known for their forms. Known for their formsmen. So many great people have come out of Team Sharkey, which is also Team AKA.
Yes.
Am I not wrong?
You probably don't realize it, but you're probably watching a lot of Team Sharkey performers doubling for stunts in movies and in television shows. A lot of good transition to Hollywood from those that have learned from Mr. Sharkey.
Not only doubling for stunts, but being stunt coordinators for little movie studios like Marvel.
Who's ever heard of them?
Marvel, DC. Yes, Team Sharkey does have a great pedigree. Team Sharkey, Team AKA for Hollywood stunt.
Yes. I mean, also a shout out. I saw Arnold Chun here this weekend.
Yes, me
it's
too.
Been 10, 15 years since he's been the U.S. Open. He's out. Actually, he's got a great, movie stunt seminar coming up on
I was
Sunday.
a little starstruck. I'm not gonna lie. He was behind me, and I saw him, and I was like, should I do it? Should I have the courage to go up and be like, hey, I'm a huge fan? And he was extremely nice. I've never met Mr. Chun. He was extremely nice. He's actually hosting a stunt camp at one of the local schools here in Florida, in Orlando. So big shout out to him.
Adriana Gonzalez coming on up from the great state of Florida, from Florida Sport Martial Arts, another great school where a lot of competitors coming out. And speaking of that, when he was a competitor, there's also Gio. Now, man, Gio's last name escapes. Both Arnold and Gio from the Virginia area, both in Fairfax County. And to see those guys go out and start a career in Hollywood was just amazing. I'm watching like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and there's Gio there fighting. I'm like, man, get out of here. I know him. I remember I used to compete against him. It's great to see people go off and they're just following their dreams and staying busy and working on projects. And, and that's possible career from someone we've seen here tonight.
So many people. I mean, these guys are opening doors and they're opening the floodgates. To have a small connection or even a big connection to them in the sense of the sport martial arts world just gives you opportunities, and it shows the other ones to be like, hey, why don't we start our own stunt program, or why don't we start our own production? I know Mr. Justin Ortiz, who still is a fantastic fighter. He's doing that with his wife.
With his wife. I mean, what a better journey to go on.
Yes. And he and his wife are opening doors to sports martial arts competitors.
You may have seen him on Cobra Kai playing a bad guy, but we know he's not a bad guy.
Yeah.
He's nowhere
one of the
near a bad
nicest
guy.
guys.
All right, let's see. We're going to get scores for Greenlee coming in. Couple of 9s mixed in, a couple of 8s. Looks like the Ariana Gonzalez may have this. But I'll relay a great story from the U.S. Open. Many, many years ago when Caitlin Deschelle, great competitor, has been here as a native of Florida, she was performing at the for the U.S. Open. It was being broadcast on ESPN. And what she didn't know, that sitting in a makeup chair in California was Jackie Chan. And Jackie Chan was so impressed at what he saw, he asked his assistant to, hey, let's go ahead and write down the name of this competitor and get me in contact with her. Congratulations to Ms. Gonzalez on winning that competition. But what actually ended up happening as we transitioned to the 14 to 17-year-old black belt Class A weapons, we have 2 competitors coming on up. And I'll continue that story. Looks like we have a traditionalist coming on up right now. But she was contacted by Jackie Chan to appear in a production. Of course, she said yes to it.
Of course.
And I remember she said, I answered yes without knowing if the movie was going to be in English or Mandarin. She had no idea, but she said yes. And out of that one opportunity being seen on this stage that you're watching right here now, she developed a great friendship with the Jackie Chan, where she calls him on his birthday. He calls her on her birthday. She would have dinner when they were in California together. So you never know where this could lead. One introductory lesson to the martial arts could end up with a career in Hollywood.
She actually ended up stunt doubling for Wonder Woman.
Gal Gadot.
Where
do you even start with that journey? Like, it started with martial arts.
It started with a free class at a local martial arts school.
Probably free uniform.
Yes.
Probably free uniform.
Summer program, winter program, something.
Maybe seen a demo team at a mall, as we mentioned at the start of the show. But look at where it hasn't ended. Look at where it's gotten to, because her career is still going strong. Seeing her double characters in The Mandalorian and doubling.
She's
Ahsoka.
doubling Ahsoka.
I mean, come
Katan.
on.
Oh my goodness! When I saw that episode of The Mandalorian with the double swords, with the single swords, I was like, I know that. I know her moves.
It's amazing. I actually saw the the preview for Wonder Woman. I immediately messaged her. I was like, "Is this you?" And she said, I can't say. I said, okay.
You're like, you don't have to say. I've seen those moves. I've seen those.
But that starts with performing on this stage right here. This excellent bow cut, very traditional, very strong.
We are going to be seeing Julieta in the future. I had the privilege of judging her today in division, and she is amazing. She has a look. She has a stance. She has the power, the technique. I don't know if she does anything other than traditional bow. I didn't see her in any other divisions. I don't know if she fights, but she's got the potential. I actually went up to her as soon as she finished this division, and I said, "You got to move up. You got to move up to AA next year.
You've got it.
You got it. You got to move up.
Challenge yourself.
Yes.
Let's take the next step."
We spoke about, hey, if you're the best person in single A and you won, hey, you're on stage. You got to take that jump. You got to take that leap. And not just to Julieta, but to anybody, If you are dominating a certain division, hey, you know what? It's time to move up.
Exactly. And you know what? That's a question for each competitor to answer themselves. Now, there are some competitors out there to say, hey, you know what? I'm king of the hill, and I'm happy about that. But there are others to say, there's another hill.
Yes.
There's a higher hill. I want to go climb it.
Hey, and you're 16. You have the strength. You got the endurance. Climb multiple hills. Let's go.
Don't set any limits. We've got Darian out here from San Diego, California, from Team Freestyle. As you mentioned before, well known for their team and their demo performances. And he's got a pair of commas. Let's see what he does with them. He's going to start up with a round off, back tuck, landing, weapons out. And also the choice of no music. Going to go a cappella, as we would say.
Good tosses, good combo, good comma combo. Caught the comma into a 360. Smooth transitions, like we said, no pausing. Oh, good juggle act.
You know what? At first, I thought he had lost control of those weapons, but he showed me that, he knew exactly where they were in space. And he got a little twist over there at the commas. So once again, we're going to have traditional versus modern. And I don't know if you saw at the last second, he adjusted his grip before he caught that. That is skill. He was going to go catch it overhand. He adjusted and caught it underhand. Ooh. And that split second to be able to realize this is the better way to catch this weapon.
So here we go, Mallory. Traditionalist.
Are we going to continue to lean traditional, or are we going to go a little bit more modern? Let's see.
We have 9, 8, 9, and 9 for Julieta.
Looks like
1-8.
It looks like they're staying consistent.
Score 8, 9, 8, and 8 for Darian. Great job. All right, that meeting scored 14-17. Black belt class A winner Julieta Reposarda. Did I get that right? All right, congratulations, ma'am.
Well, Vitor, I have what may be digital bad news. This is our last division of the night. But I've got good news. The Night of Champions is on tomorrow night.
Ooh.
And if you like what you saw, ladies and gentlemen, please share the stream. Tell someone else. Maybe enroll your child into martial arts. Or if you don't, enroll yourself in one too.
Yes.
This is not just for kids.
Spread the love, spread the knowledge. Like Mallory said, if you can't only do the spreading the link, call, if you're a grandma, call your grandchild, call your grandson, call your daughter's son and say, hey, we got to enroll so-and-so in the local martial art dojo, local martial arts school.
Looks like we've got Lorenzo up first. I mean, you can be professional. Just 2 weeks ago, I had the privilege of watching Jarvis, and I can't remember Jarvis' last, but he used to play for the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Oh,
a professional football team's coming back to karate now.
Team straight up.
What else does that say? You could do karate, and it will enhance your ability in other sports.
Talk about an athlete, Mallory. My God.
I saw him. I didn't want to get hit by him.
Oh, my goodness.
I
believe he went all the way to the finals for open weight.
He did.
And he ended up fighting his teammate.
He ended up fighting his teammate, Bailey, I think it was.
Bailey
and we
Murphy.
had to tell him, like, hey, you got money for this. He said he didn't even know he had money. I said, I know it's nothing compared to an NFL contract, but, come on and, come get this money.
I think Bailey's going to be the future. I'm going to go out on a limb here. I think Bailey's going to be the future of sports martial arts sparring.
It's interesting because a lot of people would say, hey, Bailey Murphy is the next Raymond Daniels. I said, no, he's the first Bailey Murphy.
Yes.
He
that
is
a perfect way to put it.
Fighter, and getting to train with him years ago. This guy's sharp.
I've had the privilege of having Bailey Murphy at my house for an entire week, putting him through the gauntlet of what I go through, what I put my kids through, and he is so respectful, and he is so ready at 9 o'clock in the morning, 6 o'clock in the morning, 2-a-days, 3-a-days to put that work in. He is an amazing, amazing kid. I use the word kid because he's only 21. He is an amazing kid. Recently college graduate.
Yes.
So he's not just amazing at this sport, but he's so knowledgeable, so kind, so disciplined.
And as you said, you know, that's the heart of the champion.
Yes.
You said, hey, we're going to work out, start at 6 a.m. No, he didn't get up. He's ready.
Yes,
he's ready to go. And our final competitor of the night, Tanvi, and let's see where Tanvi is from. She is from Michigan, Team PKSA.
Michigan having a lot of love over here.
Yeah, I was going to say there's a lot.
I mean, we're talking, this place is still pretty packed.
And then they got quiet.
Yeah.
They got quiet for it.
So tomorrow, Mallory, are we going to see, on the Night of Champions, are we going to see only black belts? Are we going to have some underbelts in there?
Usually you have all black belts on the Night of Champions. You're going to see international players. You're going to see specialists in their specific discipline. Korean forms, sparring, breaking, team forms. I mean, CMX, traditional, women's forms, men's forms. It's a whole lineup. You can go to the U.S. Open's website and see what's in store. It's definitely something to see. If you're in the Orlando area, come on in, buy a ticket.
Yes.
Right at Disney's Car. Come see it live.
So all tonight we saw a lot of underbelts, and then for the black belts you saw the A division.
Yes.
So you're saying tomorrow night we're going to be seeing the double A division, which is going to be the top of the top, the top of the heap. Yes, the cream of the crop. So tomorrow's going to be one hell of a show.
It will definitely be one hell of a show. I will agree with you completely. And that was an amazing form to end the show for, as we mentioned, the Night of Victory. We have seen a bunch of underbelts that will advance in rank over this year. Next year, as they approach the stage, their belts will change color. And the new skills will be added. All this is left is for the judges to make their decision who's going to be the final winner of the night. So Lorenzo comes out with a couple of 9s strong, all 9s.
Straight 9s. Mr. Jimenez is going to take the last Grand Championship award of the night. Congratulations to Ms. Tavi, too, putting on a great form.
And great respect shown by both competitors. A thunderous applause for Lorenzo. Great competitors all night. It was great. You got a chance to see your son perform.
Oh,
and
my
your
goodness.
dad is watching this. It's a whole family affair.
It's a whole family affair, yes. I'm one lucky person right now. I can't believe I saw my son win tonight. I mean, I can't believe it because the amount of work that he put in, but it's only the beginning. It's only the beginning for my son.
And
what a
thank
fantastic
you for the great
show.
Perry. MCing all night. The parents that have helped out. Definitely watch it for tomorrow night. Stay tuned to Sport Martial Arts and, of course, the U.S. Open to see where we're going to be broadcasting. Vito, thank you so much for sharing the booth. It was a pleasure.
Absolute pleasure.
Guys, we certainly appreciate your attention, and we will see you guys tomorrow.
Thank you guys so much.
Thank you guys
so much. So we are going to see we're going to see a lot of these kids. I know it. We're going to see a lot of these kids underbelts and single A competitors. We're going to see a lot of them in the upcoming years. So great job, Mallory. Again, thank you so much. Great
guys,
show.
We'll see you soon.